Hello, everyone. Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in Cyberpunk as Johnny Silverhand's son, Part 2. If you enjoy this content, please smash the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the original story linked in the description. I hope you enjoy listening to it.
Night City, 6:35 p.m. Sora's house. Musasha. Doesn't the city feel noisier today? More hectic than usual. I spoke as the NCPD sirens echoed from somewhere outside. Looks like someone's making them earn their paycheck today, I thought. What do you expect from this damned city? Some punk, or as they call themselves now, cyberpunks, is probably stealing from some corporation. Or maybe not even that. Maybe they're just doing it for the laughs. It's times like this I really don't understand why Hanako-sama wanted us to raise Sora here. It's true that this city reeks of danger, no matter how kindly you put it. But doesn't it have a certain beauty? Some of the people. I was interrupted mid-sentence by a proxy IDN message from Hanako-sama. She had given us this contact for emergencies only. As I read it, my blood ran cold. I instantly connected her message to the strange commotion in the city that afternoon. Musasha. Turn on channel 54. It looks like Sora's doing a show. Like the one you told him not to. My husband looked at me, confused at first, until his face turned pale. Without saying a word, he used the pad in his hand to activate the wall-mounted TV. When the image came up, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There, on top of a moving fire truck, was a young man. One we recognized immediately. It wasn't hard to guess who he was, especially with that young driver acting like a sidekick in what could only be described as something a punk would do for the laughs. The kid was firing water at the police cars, making them veer off the road or crash into each other. I had no words. I could only laugh, trying to reboot Musashi's brain, which seemed to have gone on strike at the sight of what our grandson was doing. Ara. Musashi Shisho. Are you sure you were awake when Sora swore he'd follow the teachings of Bushido before acting? Or did you wake up in your bed right after he said it? Sora. What the hell are you doing? Ara. The same reaction as Hanako-sama. Hanako-sama. She contacted you? Was she the one who warned you? Yes. She sent me 2 messages. First, what the hell is Sora doing? Then, put on channel 54 right now. I want an explanation. The explanation I leave to you, sweetheart. You get along with Hanako-sama so well. That damn kid. I saw that disappointed look in his eyes when I blocked his training strikes with killing intent, just to spite him. And now, since he couldn't kill me himself, he wants his mother to do it instead. Damn it, Sora. Where are we going? They still haven't caught him, I said as Musasha stood up after cursing. Maybe he didn't notice, but there was a slight smile on his face. He's changed a lot since we moved to this city he claims to hate so much. We're picking up the Alvarez's first, then we're heading to the Watson precinct. Damn it. I knew the kid wouldn't stop just because he nearly blew up the house. And I'm sure he's got some kind of hideout, some abandoned place to store all the junk he doesn't want us to find. You know how he comes home some nights smelling like explosives, chemicals, and welding. Damn it, Sora. Sora POV. Shit. There's no end to them. If the NCPD always acted like this, Night City would be the world capital of public safety. Before I realized it, the 7 patrol cars chasing us through Watson were joined by 3 more. That made 10 NCPD cars tailing us. I stopped messing around and cranked the truck's power to 120%. I had spent 2 whole months working on it. Judy really should have supervised me more if she wanted the truck working sooner. Soon after, I brought the number of pursuers down to 6 by taking out 4 police cars with the water cannon's ridiculous pressure. The problem is, I'm running out of water, and the song's about to end. Time to figure out how the hell I'm getting out of this without getting busted. I cut power to the water cannon to conserve the remaining pressure. The 6 remaining NCPD cars had stopped firing. That couldn't be good. I had a bad feeling. When I looked ahead past the curve Judy was taking, we were heading into a straightaway. The bridges toward the corporate center, and the alley entrance to Afterlife. No time to overthink. Ahead was a massive NCPD blockade. Cars, armored trucks, the works. Cops entrenched behind them, guns raised. Even the Barneys had run out of patience. Judging by the big guns, this looked like their final play. You idiot. Cyber Psycho. What the hell do we do now? Judy. I find that offensive. I don't have any cyberware in my pure, virgin body. Sora. Sora, even now, do you have to make jokes? Judy. Judy, even now, do you have to call me an idiot? I have a heart too, you know. Every time you insult me, my shy little heart cries. Silently, Sora. He. You calm now? Judy, before we reach the blockade, take the detour to the bridge. Sora. Oi, Sora, do you hate me? Judy. I don't know why you'd think that. If anything, I'd say I like you. Why? Sora. I thought I liked you too, but then you said take the bridge, and now I think maybe you hate me and you want to kill me. Judy. Are you planning to get us killed? Judy. Nope. Not unless there's a dark Sora inside me I don't know about. Sora. Great. Because I still don't see how going to the freaking corporate center helps when I might as well just stop the truck and declare myself a hostage. Judy. Sure, I'm the bad guy now. Like you did nothing. I admit, I started it. But you're just as guilty, so go ahead, play the victim. But if we get caught, I'm pulling the shy Asian guy card and blaming everything on you and your hot-headed Miss Alvarez from the Valentinos. Sora. You bastard, jackass, pendejo, retard, stupid, demon, Judy. Stop it, Judy. You're making me blush. Trust me, I've still got something prepped for the drones. We're almost out of water and they're still tailing us. When we cross, take the exit back to Watson. Don't waste time. Got it? Sora. Judy didn't say anything else. She prepared to take the detour. As we passed the alley entrance to Afterlife, I noticed 3 people watching everything from the shadows. Judging by their expressions, they were entertained. I couldn't help but smile and make a theatrical bow to the queen of the afterlife. There they were, Rogue, Dorio, and Maine. Dorio and Maine chuckled. Rogue just smiled. But when our eyes met, her expression changed. She dropped the cigarette from her fingers. Like, she recognized me. No way. She couldn't possibly know who I am just by looking at me. It's not like she's my mother. Just thinking that gave me goosebumps. I shook it off. Back to the chase. Judy took the exit just in time, leaving the cops at the barricade looking dumbfounded. It hadn't even occurred to them the truck might swerve before hitting their wall. As we crossed the bridge, I waited for the remaining NCPD cars to follow, then reactivated the water cannon and aimed at the nearest one. Fash. Water cannon activates. I kept the stream on one car until its windshield shattered, sending the vehicle into a sharp turn. Screech. Screech. Bam. 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 3 cars crashed. That left only 3 chasing us. The bad news? We were officially out of water. Judy, I'm coming back inside. We're out of water. Great. Now when they kill us, they won't have to look far to find us. I grinned, climbed out of the cannon hatch, and made my way to the roof of the cabin as we sped across the bridge. Reaching inside my jacket, I pulled out 3 shiny, silver orbs, each the size of a small grenade. He. Come to me, drones. As we were leaving the bridge, we arrived at the Zero District Corporate Center. People were surprised by the music and looked at us, worried about what was going on. From the top of the truck, I passed my sight without noticing anyone in the crowd watching us. But 2 figures caught my attention because one of them I recognized who it was. I was surprised, but I looked at the other figure, still not believing myself, with all the people I had encountered today. When I focused my attention on the second, smaller figure, who seemed to be wearing an old hooded cloak hiding her face. She looked up, curious about what was going on, and our gazes met. So you're already in Night City, eh? I laughed in my mind while on my face a smile was drawn as I recognized her, and it was erased as I remembered her tragic past. When she noticed how I kept looking at her, she seemed surprised, as if she realized that I knew who she was, making her look nervous. Knowing why, I removed my sight from the two of them and focused on the annoying sound that drones make when activated. B-E-Hoo-U-U-U. Drone noise. 12 drones within 8 of entering the corporate center. Sure, that security is paid for 40 seconds before. Rogue POV. When the three of us got to the entrance of the alley, we could see a barricade of NCPD, pretty serious, with a couple of armored trucks, along with a handful of NCPD cars to totally block the whole street, with all the NCPD empalmed with their guns up behind their nice barricade, to stop what looked like a fire truck with music coming out of its PA system, while a guy who looked like a teenager was riding on the back of the truck in control of the water cannon, which looked tricked out, because of the force with which the water was being thrown, making the windshields of the NCPD cars give way and flooding inside in seconds, causing the drivers to swerve, crashing into their partners. All three of us had a smile on our faces, in a slightly better mood after witnessing the spectacle we were witnessing. As the fire truck passed in front of us, I could see a young girl, somewhat nervous but keeping her type, driving the truck, while the boy in the back was wearing a leather jacket with a red ONI face on his back, the symbol of samurai, his group. The kid looked calm, having a great time. When he looked at us, he seemed to recognize us instantly, making the three of us surprised, but then he bowed like an old actor would do when there were still theaters at the end of his performance. The boy bowed in an almost proud way for a job well done by entertaining us with his show. As the boy took his bow, I could hear Main and Dario, who were, he. Main. Foo-ha-ha. Dario. That they were laughing out loud. I also got a little smile on my face, but more than for the boy's actions, it was for his jacket. I liked that the name of Samurai is still not forgotten even 50 years after his death. With the sudden memory of him again in my head, my eyes crossed with the boy's when he stood up again. I could clearly see his slanted eyes showing his Asian descent, but those eyes made my heart race and my mouth instantly pulled out, and even the smoke fell out of my fingers. Those eyes were like his, but at the same time different, sharper, almost like a bird of prey, but at the same time, almost like him. It cannot be true. It cannot be. He has been dead for 50 years. It's impossible. Unable to process what was going through my head, the truck pulled away, pulling onto the bridge heading towards Centro Corp. TCH. What a shame. If it were me, I would have chosen to gamble against the barricade. Better than going downtown to get shot by the drones. Pity. There were some kids with potential. Maybe in a couple of years we would have met them at the afterlife and I would have invited them for a drink. TCH. Don't say that, you pessimistic piece of shit. It's true that they've leveled up now that they've taken the joke to the rich part of town, but, seeing how the kid was behaving on top of the truck, maybe they'll surprise you, Main. As they were starting to argue, 3 explosions could be heard, but they were unconventional. They reminded me of something, as if it was on the tip of my tongue. Yeon. Unidentified blast. Realizing what those explosions were, Main spoke up. Crap, that wasn't a pulse blast. See how I told you that kid still had something up his sleeve? What a lad. And to think he would even carry EMP grenades. Foo-ha-ha. I wonder where he got them. They're not easy to come by. Shortly after the EMP explosions, the three of us were speechless as we watched as the fire truck returned over the bridge back to Watson, only to launch itself off the top of the bridge into the water, while the 2 teenagers were on top of the truck from which the last few verses of the song were still playing. So who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? As they looked as if they were surfing the truck, which was falling, to jump off when it was about to hit the water. When the truck hit the water, a large column of water was lifted by the impact and the kids fell a few seconds after the truck, in the same place where the large column of water had been lifted, losing track of them and softening their impact against the water as they fell from a great height. A few seconds after the collision, it was possible to see how a biome. Underwater explosion. Possibly the truck exploding. With all this I reacted again only with, ha ha ha. I was laughing so hard I was clutching my stomach. Even Main and Dario were looking at me like something was wrong with me, but I couldn't hold back. I don't know how it had happened or who was the woman smart enough to slow down or stop her pregnancy for years, but with what I had seen so far, I had no doubt. Making me remember the last strophes of the song that was playing through the truck. I know who you are, boy. You're his son, Johnny's son, who somehow hit the freaking jackpot by knocking up a woman smart and determined enough to have his child on top of him, making it so that the child could grow up happy and free without prejudice or hatred towards him. Doing crazy things like the one he just did. I didn't know who she was, but she has only my deepest respect as a woman for even getting pregnant by that scumbag. I could almost call him a terrorist. What she has had to live through, that poor woman, to keep the secret, to keep her child safe and in fear of Arasaka finding them, just to be able to ensure the well-being of her child. Simply unbelievable. What would Arasaka do if they found out that Johnny had a son? Just thinking about it makes my skin crawl. After all that, and having calmed down a bit, I turned to Maine and Dorio, a little infected by the actions of Johnny's possible son, as it reminded me of the old days, almost taking out the old rogue, taking the queen down from the ice throne. And I said, Maine, Dorio, I will not stop sending jobs. Today I have lost all the members of Ace Team. If in time your team delivers, we'll see what happens. Another thing, don't get too married to that degenerate Faraday. That guy has sent more mercs to meet the god of Chrome than any of the NC fixers. Maine and Dorio just nodded their heads, thankfully thinking about what I said about Faraday. Seeing this made me chuckle in my head at how I had changed what I was going to say in this conversation to how it actually ended up. In Santo Domingo, Subdistrict Arroyo, in apartment 0716 located on the 8th floor of the mega building H4. A mother was sitting on the sofa in her house while she was silently changing her expression, while her son was watching the holographic TV, changing channels with a bored expression on his face for not finding anything to entertain him, until he reached channel 54 and his former expression of boredom was replaced by one of excitement because of what he was seeing. While her mother, Gloria, hadn't noticed this change, she kept going through a jumble of expressions on her face, from anger to rage to sadness, as she realized that no matter how much she complained, she wasn't going to get anything. Gloria was arguing with her bank because, although she has been moving all over the city to pay her bills herself, moving from office to office to get it done to save the fees charged by the bank when making a simple transfer, only to find out, when she finished this long and exhausting process, that her bank had charged her another cash settlement fee costing her more than half of what she had managed to save by moving around the city herself. Gloria was angry. She felt robbed and ripped off. She always tried to save as much as possible, avoiding any kind of extra service offered to her, even if it would save her a lot of time. If with that, she could save a little more money, even if she had to make an extra effort. With that small sacrifice, she could manage to save enough to send her son David to a good academy. Then all that work would have been worth it. When Gloria was finally able to speak to a person after answering dozens of questions to choose which department to send her call to, asking multiple times to speak to an operator instead of a tedious administrative AI and having to listen to the bank's repellent hold music, when all that hell finally ended and she was connected to a person, she was dispatched within minutes by the operator, who told her that the charges made to Gloria's account were not to be refunded, and if she had complaints, to find a bank that wouldn't make them. Gloria said after finishing her call, sighing instead of kicking the table in front of her as she would like to do, were it not for the fact that she was in front of her son. Turning her attention on her son, who seemed to be watching something on the holographic TV that was enchanting him, made her head full of doubts about the future. She had to get more money from wherever if she wanted to pay for David's academy, if he was finally accepted. Gloria knew of a way to get more eddies, but to get it she would have to cross the line she swore to herself not to cross in her job as an EMT. Hell yeah. Ha 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 ha. Hearing her son's laughter, Gloria smiled, even though she didn't like him talking like that. But to Gloria, David was the only one who truly made her happy and gave her comfort with her burdensome life. Gloria, David's mom, POV. Don't talk like that, D. What are you seeing that you are liking so much? If you saw your face, it looks like your eyes are going to pop out. Son. Ha ha ha. I said as I kept my smile on seeing David so excited about whatever they were showing on TV. Ha ha ha. Mom, isn't that the guy that saved us from that junkie that tried to rob us? Said my son as he moved his head from the TV to me, and I could see his excited expression, like the one he had when he was a kid watching his favorite show, for a second before he turned his eyes back to the TV. When he said that, I also started to look at the TV and was speechless to see a black-haired boy with his face covered with a mask with lights, but wearing the same clothes as the boy who looked at us as if he knew us and prevented me from being robbed. On the live broadcast, you could see the young man on top of the truck as he crossed the Watson Bridge to the corporate center. Seeing this, I had a terrible feeling about what was going to happen, wanting to turn off the TV so David would not see what would happen when those kids who seemed to be doing hooliganism, or a crime, arrive to the protected area of the city and the security systems attack those kids, who have not realized how dangerous what they are doing is. What the heck is that boy doing? I shouted without realizing it, catching David's attention. Damn it! Don't they have a mother to yell at them? Why do I have to be the one who has to feel this worried about a kid who I barely know at all and the other kid friend of this one who's driving the truck? Damn it. By the time I tried to react to turn off the TV or change the channel, it was too late. The kids had arrived in the rich part of town, drawing the attention of everyone on the street, and also the automated security system was starting to launch drones that were starting to head back to the truck that was turning around to head back to Watson. Come on quick. Damn it. Get out of there, I thought nervously in my head as I saw what was going on. Mom, the drones, David said with a worried tone in his voice, where before there was excitement, as he realized how dangerous what these brats were doing was. David, look away, I said as I feared the tragedy possibly being delayed live from the death of these two silly brats who, although they have gone overboard with their prank, are still practically kids who are going to end up getting themselves killed. Damn it, to hell with this city. By the time I was cursing, the drones had already arrived near the truck, getting ready to open fire on the first target they found. In this case, they were aiming at the young kid on top of the truck, the kid we know, the kid who saved us from that junkie, the kid who looked at us with warm eyes while giving his opinion on David's future. Like, if he cared about wanting to close my eyes, I looked sadly at what was going to happen only to be left disconcerted with the young man's behavior that he would have to be terrified of the 12 drones targeting his life. But contrary to what anyone would expect, the young man was standing with his hands in his pockets like the one waiting for the metro, as if all this did not go with him, only to have a smile on his mask that could be seen from the AV that was recording him, and at the same time taking his hands out of his pockets throwing 3 silver spherical objects that were noticed by the reflection of the neon lights of the street on the silver surface, making them shine while he was heading towards the 12 drones that were grouped together. When they reached the drones, the image was filled with interference, almost cutting off the signal. Mom, what was that? What did he throw? It looked like grenades. Oh, now it looks clear. When the signal returned, so did the audio that welcomed us with the explosion of most of the drones. Boom. His pack. And surprising everyone by how the situation had changed from one that was chewing tragedy or fun of death, 2 teenagers if you're a morbid sick bastard, of which there were many, to one in which you could see how 8 drones lost control over themselves while releasing sparks and exploding when they crashed into each other, leaving 4 drones that only lost control falling to the ground or crashing into a streetlight advertising sign or wall. While the boy, who had launched what I guess was some EMP grenade, jumped around foolishly happy for what he had done like a little kid for a few seconds until he stopped, going back to the AV camera, while he raised his arms towards the camera and sent a middle finger all who were watching, waiting to see the death of the boy, raising his middle fingers from his hands as his mask did another mocking laughing animation again, as he drove away in the truck that had finished making the U-turn, heading back to Watson as it began to release smoke from the hood, causing people to stare in silence at the unexpected change of outcome in what most people, including myself, thought was going to be a live tragedy. Without anyone reacting to this, the broadcast continued in silence, without anyone, not even the journalists who were commenting on the brazen actions of the young man, with some amusement when they did so, leaving only the end of the song that continued to sound by the truck that began to leave more white smoke than already came out, almost preventing the young man's sidekick who was driving from seeing. To the surprise of all of us who were still silent, the young man bent down to help pull a young woman, wearing a mask like his, to the top of the truck while he was still holding on to her, helping her to stay in the truck that was heading off the road, crossing the pedestrian zone, breaking the sides of the bridge in process and jumping off the top of the bridge. What the hell are they doing? Above, they launched themselves in the direction of the AV recording them, which was parallel to them as they went over the bridge. As they jumped, they approached the AV, who was able to record the 2 teenagers singing, shouting with fear in their voices, but smiles on their masks at the end of the song, as they jumped into the void. What if I say I'm not like the others? Keep you in the dark. What if I say I'm not like the others? Boy. What if I say I'm not like the others? Girl. What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You know they all What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? B. What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? G. You're the pretender. Pretend. Why you're the pretender? B. You're the pretender. G. What if I say I will never surrender? What if we say we will never surrender? B. What if we say we will never surrender? G. When they stopped, they started to run, still holding on to the opposite side of the truck, which was starting to tip forward as it was approaching the water, as the young ones ran in the opposite direction of the fall to get to the back. When they arrived, they jumped again, but this time from the truck, still holding hands. Instantly, when they were in the air falling, the young man in the air embraced the girl as if protecting her from the impact against the water, putting his feet in front so that he was the one who hit the water, while they fell following the same trajectory of the truck of which the last verses sounded. So who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? Ending only seconds before. Bam! The truck hit the water, raising a column of water that made the young men who fell a few seconds behind the truck disappear from everyone's sight. A few moments later, when the water calmed down a little, before what seemed to be the end of the scene, the sound was heard. Boom! A large underwater explosion that created another column of water, but it was much larger than before. I imagined that by the smoke that was coming out of the truck, it was the same truck exploding, giving a sense of closure to all this hooliganism, as if it were the fall of some curtains after finishing the show or the last solo of the song that was playing. After all these events, I was speechless until a shout of joy brought me out of it. That's how it's done. Awesome. Did you see that, Mom? Haha. TCH. I should have asked Big Bro's name when he saved us today from that one damn junkie. I hope he records a BD of the whole chase. It would be great. I'd be first in line to buy it. David. Goddammit. Control your damn mouth. Since when do I let you say curses in front of me? I chided my son, who seemed ecstatic at what he had seen, almost infected by the boy's spirit, making him curse as he laughed, jumping up and down excited at what the young punk had done live. Damn, what I feared this morning is coming true faster than I weighed. Finally, David is going to start following the young man around like some fan or, as he is calling him, Big Bro in some role model sort of way. But Mom, you're just like me. When David said that, I realized my state. I was standing in front of the TV like David, like a little girl excitedly watching her favorite cartoons, and I had no worries. I had forgotten the charge on my account from those crooks at the bank and my worries about the money without even realizing it. I had even gotten up from the sofa without even noticing. My hands were cold, full of sweat from my nerves. My mouth was dry and my heart was pounding hard, almost stinging in my chest, because of the young man's crazy actions. And apparently it wasn't just David who had been infected. Showing up had infected me too, without me knowing it. And I knew how many other people. Making us excited, surprising us, and making our depressed, worried or sad hearts go into overdrive with a kick by making the feelings excited. Alive. By the irresponsible actions of the young man, who acted without filters, like a child playing with toys imagining a chase. The young man was acting like that, as if he were that kid who was crashing his toys, his fire truck against the other toys of the police, while laughing out of pure happiness for what he was imagining. But the young man in question was doing the same, but with the real NCPD chasing him, creating a spectacle for his carefree, childish, and joyful way of acting with which he was doing it. There was something about the kid, I don't know how to describe it, that made it resonate with anyone who saw it, as if his light-hearted attitude while smiling and enjoying the whole crazy situation made you rethink that maybe it's not so important to live a long life, but a full life, full of those kinds of memories that made your heart dance with emotion, that the kid seems to be full of, almost making it glow. Without fear. That, in doing so, was somehow inspirational, making you re-examine your life and making you ask yourself, have I ever in my whole life had as good a time as that kid looked like he was having? It was obviously scary and dangerous and stupid, almost suicidal. You would gain nothing but trouble with that way of thinking, and I wouldn't let David do what the young man was doing, but hence the almost inspirational part. While you couldn't enjoy that situation because of the fear of what could happen or what was going to happen, like a bad pothole when the cops seemed to shoot at the wheels, which could have gotten either of them killed, or that hypothetical bad pothole could get the kid knocked off the truck when he was walking over. Or leaving the hypothetical and thinking about that crazy jumping off the top of the bridge. Who would be mad enough to sing and enjoy all that while falling off the top of the bridge, most possibly killing yourself? Even the friend who accompanied him was doing it, which increased my belief in how infectious the boy's actions were. After sighing again and calming myself, I refocused on David, who was still excited. Meanwhile, he would rewind the program to find the beginning of the chase he hadn't seen. Reassessing the future I wanted for David, after seeing how the crazy young man, who knew us somehow, was living, made me rethink what he said about paying for the triumph of corporate life with the smile. The apartment doorbell rang, cutting through my ruminations about the future, making me long for those seconds when I had been distracted by watching the percussion. When I opened the door, I was met by a WAPS delivery man, which surprised me since only the Platinum service carries a delivery man instead of a delivery drone. When I looked at him surprised, the delivery guy spoke without caring about my face. Looking nervous, he looked like he wanted to get out of the mega building as soon as possible. I understand him. Gloria Martinez? I have a package to deliver to your son. PPPPF. What was it? A Davis Martinez. It's with a D, asshole, shouted David from behind me, listening to what the delivery guy called him but not getting up from in front of the TV. Pifty, which amused me somewhat, satisfied at how rude this delivery guy was and my son's response, as I muted what I could of my laughter. Yeah, whatever. I have a package for you. So come here so you can sign this with your organic signature, and I can get the hell out of this place. What is it? A package, don't you see? You're either dumb or playing dumb, because with you I'm not safe. I mean, what's inside the package and who is that? The sender. I said at the nonsensical response the delivery man had made while pointing to the WAPS Courier Corporation brand. I have no idea, but the package came from a music store downtown, and the sender is, damn it. Seriously? What's up? Do you know him? Do you know who he is? If you would tell me, please, I would be eternally grateful. It's true. Forgive my manners. Nice to meet you, Miss Martinez. My name is Mark, also David. Sorry for saying your name wrong. Haha. What a fool I am, and I'm a big fan of him. Hey, slow down. What are you talking about? Who is he? Tell you who he is. I don't know anything about what you're talking about, Mark. Because you've changed your ways and everything. With all the chaos the delivery man was making, David was also interested. He paused the beginning of the chase he was watching and walked over with a curious expression about what and who had sent him a package that, from what he saw, was quite large. The sender, Miss Martinez. I'm a big fan of him and his music. Yes, Mark, that's as far as I've gotten. I mean, who is the sender? He is Jackie. Jackie Blackhand. Jackie sent a package to your son and I was the one who delivered it. This I will tell all my mates at work, haha, maybe my future kids too, ha. I was shocked by the identity of the famous sender. His songs are always on the radio. Hell, I just heard one of his songs as background music in that irresponsible chase. With all that I turned to my son who had a face with his mouth open as if he couldn't process what the delivery man had just said, while one of his eyes looked like he had a nervous tick almost glitched. When he reacted he moved at full speed, for me almost disappearing because of his enthusiasm from where he was. He put his hand on the delivery man's pad making a little beep of affirmation, grabbing the package with both arms as if hugging it as he entered the house as fast as he could, closing the door behind him without directing so much as a response or a glance at the delivery man who had been frozen by my son's quick action, almost looking as if he had a Sandavista installed in his body. Mom, what do you think it is? I can't wait any longer. Pack, package breaking. Woo. Amazing. Ha. Best day of my life. You're watching this, said my David, so excited he was turning red from his excitement as he picked up the pale yellow guitar-shaped instrument, the color reminding me of my work jacket, with blue lights decorating the instrument. I just had questions in my head. Why would the popular singer give something to David as a gift? Where would he know him from? As David hung up the bass, I could see a note inside the case. The note was addressed to David. It appeared to be a printout of a message to my son that read, "To David, from a fan who, seeing your story, helped him a lot in bad times. even giving me a glimpse of how I wanted to live my life. Thanks for that. This is just a small payment for that. Stop. The BDs will eat your brain. Play this. If you get good enough, we may play together. By Jackie Blackhand. P.S. Tell your mom to be more careful of her surroundings, especially when she drives. I'm not always going to be there to help you like this morning with the junkie. You know. It can't be. That kid is Jackie. Who can't be Jackie? That's the note that comes with the bass. Mom. Sora POV. Run. I said as the truck was starting to lean forward, while I had a firm grip on Judy's hand so that we would not get separated. This was the only thing I had come up with so that the imminent explosion of the battery, which I could no longer handle, would blow up the engine and with it blow up the whole truck. Not hurt anyone and at the same time allow me to escape with this crazy jumping we are doing. You're freaking crazy. Now jump. When we were in the air, I hugged Judy, lifting her over my head, grabbing her by the hip with my arms to let me be the first to impact against the water, to protect her as much as I can, which, if I haven't messed up thinking about all this in my mind, we will have to be able to survive if we hit the water already turbulent from the truck. Meanwhile, having this totally involuntary position, my head was level with Judy's budding breasts, making me, again totally involuntarily, smash my face into the premature twins, with an expression that could make Momonosuke be proud. Enjoying this too as Judy screamed, oblivious to my face, making me think, if these were my last moments, at least let them be with a smile, even if it was a perverted one. Bam! Truck crashing. Splash PUK. With that last sound Judy and I hit the water, making my legs hurt and sting like hell and feel numb from the contact with the water. As we were submerged underwater, I could see the truck slowly sink as it generated more and more bubbles from under the hood, making me, with a somewhat dazed Judy from the shock against the water in my arms, kick my still numb legs with all the strength they had. After a few seconds, I started to move away from the truck as fast as I could, surprising myself by the speed I was reaching just kicking the water with my legs that felt a bit numb but better than when I started swimming. When Judy started making little noises that she was already fully conscious, I made a worried expression, while her cheeks were puffy, making me smile at the way she was holding her breath. As I was thinking that, the explosion of the battery occurred, making a chain reaction with the explosion of the engine and with the fuel. Boom! The truck exploded, causing the underwater explosive to push us hard, spinning us around, and disorienting us as the current from the explosion sent us in the opposite direction to the surface. While I made sure not to let Judy go, she screamed from the surprise of the explosion and the strong currents that were generated, making her release all the oxygen she had stored, which in turn increased her initial nervousness, making her face of concern change to one of panic, to one dying of fear. Making her eyes lose their brightness and a few seconds later giving up for dead, almost losing consciousness by the distressing situation. To which I simply caressed her face so that she looked at me. Surprised by my caress, she calmed down a little, and I smiled and kissed her. Chuck. When our lips were together, I made them open a little and I released the oxygen that I still had in my body, sharing it with Judy, who moved her arms nervously. Although a few moments ago she was scared to death, a couple of seconds after our mouths were still in contact, she looked at me with some embarrassment on her face but grateful for taking her out of that bad situation. Before I knew it, I had Judy's arms around me, in turn almost making her smaller in mine, while I kept kicking my legs hard to bring us to the surface with our mouths sharing oxygen. Although I had done it as a simple mouth-to-mouth without being embarrassed at first, the truth is that I could feel my face a little red. After all, it is my first kiss in my whole life. When we had been sharing oxygen for a few seconds, I noticed something in my mouth and when I knew what it was, I looked with surprise at Judy, who was looking at me, but there was no shame or nervousness. Her gaze was warm with a certain desire mixed in it. Something that was the first time I felt in all my life. That look gave a kick to my heart, making it beat as hard as when we were jumping off the bridge. It made me unconsciously clutch Judy tighter, as if she was never going to let go, while I also used my tongue to search for Judy's. My Judy. Judy POV. Boom. I'm scared. As I said that in my mind, I realized something. The fear I am feeling is the emotion I am most familiar with in my entire life. Well, it was before I met him. I say to myself in what I thought were my last moments as I drowned in the darkness. making me think as I turned fear into a familiar feeling for me to evade my panicked mind. The first time I felt this way was when my mother passed away. My father was never around, so for me, my mother was the only family I had besides my grandparents, and when she died, it was the first time I noticed this fear, which was different from what I had felt so far at that time, of darkness, or my nightmares, or of hurting myself. This was different. I had never felt this way in my short life. It felt dense, almost as if you could feel it as it embraced me while it restrained me, always with me, accompanying me as I grew up, changing me inside without anyone noticing it doing so. Even my way of acting changed without realizing it, with my arms crossed, almost hugging myself to comfort me. Almost consumed me when I moved to NC because of how terrifying that city seemed to me. Making me, from a very young age, a part of me, lived in hiding, almost in reclusion, like an image of a ghost locked in a shell, and when I saw it, I felt represented by it, as if it were a visual metaphor of myself. That's how I felt since my mother's death, as if I was that ghost and the fear that embraces me, the shell, wishing to slip away and be free from her prison embrace. Making me be aware now, in this desperate situation, of how much fear I've had since the beginning of my life, and how much I've grown since I met him. That feeling that embraced me, restricting me, changed without me noticing it, or was it me making myself less susceptible to the point that I didn't even notice if it was still there? For me, everything changed when I moved to the NC that I was so afraid of and met my first real friend. No. He is much more than that. Sometimes he was like a big brother who protected me when the fear came back. Sometimes like a friend we talked about our hobbies and made jokes. And sometimes like a bad influence, doing things I wouldn't have dared to do if it wasn't for him, freeing me little by little. For me, everything changed when I met my Sky, or my haven. He had managed to make me leave that cold shell feeling released, giving me courage and giving me back my smile, without anyone noticing. Not even the Sky itself noticed what he had achieved only with his presence in my life. I changed little by little, with him being there, in my day-to-day life, recovering what had been lost locked in that shell, healing me, making me laugh again just by looking at the sky. Like when my mother was alive and every breath of terrifying air of this world didn't scare me, like when I was a little girl who didn't know fear. I think, as my sight darkens, that I could only do everything I have done so far in this whole chase, without cowering in fear, because Sora was with me and I had a feeling that everything would be fine as long as Sora kept acting silly like he always did, infecting me with doing all kinds of crazy things, like jumping from the top of the bridge and screaming as we fell, realizing now that I was only doing it to silence the part of me that was dying of fear. But, even though I was picking on him, I was grateful to him for making me feel that way, for him being my friend, for him being my role model, making me face my fears, and making me live happily as long as I live. When I was thinking all this, after I had inadvertently let out all the air I had, because of the sudden explosion of the truck, which had dragged us into the darkest depths of the water away from the surface. As I felt desperate, drowned, I felt defeated, no oxygen. So up to this tiny height I will reach. As I followed Sora's back, I wished I could reach and be at his side. No. I don't want to die. No. I am going to die. Wake up. Don't sleep. I want to keep seeing Sora's back, to reach him, to make our grandparents proud with us. I want to live. When I was raving because of the fear I felt, I was shouting to myself not to fall into despair. In order not to give up, in order not to close my eyes, I noticed that something warm was caressing my face softly, among all this wet and cold darkness. When I turned my gaze that goes out little by little, I could see Sora, who was looking at me serenely with his smile, making my desperate heart react by force, before. Chuck. He kissed me, placing his lips on mine, and after a few seconds he put a little force on his lips so that I opened mine while he shared with me the oxygen he had left inside, making me move my arms nervously, with my energy and hopes revitalized. Watching him nervously for our connected lips, but grateful that he had pulled me out of my despair with a breath of air. Without my noticing, my arms were hugging tightly against Sora's body that seemed to radiate warmth even in the depths of the water, as I shrank into his embrace that he also tightened. While unable to contain myself, I stuck my tongue inside his mouth, the mouth of my Sky, making him surprised by what I was doing, but I don't care, nothing does right now. I just want to be like this, close to Sora, while his body warms me and makes me feel safe even in the darkest and coldest parts. With our mouths still intertwined, I kept kicking hard until we reached the surface. When we both reached it, we parted our lips to catch our breath. Sora POV. Oi Judy. It's Chuck. I was interrupted by Judy as she gave me a really passionate kiss that made more than just my heart go pitter-patter when she suddenly stopped and looked at me shamelessly, saying, "From now on you are mine. Agreed." What? Agreed. Yes, of course. But what the hell happened to you? Where's my somewhat scary and huggable Judy? I have realized that if I want to be able to, and be by your side, I can't let fear trap me in a shell. I know what I have to do, or rather who to be with, to feel free of that fear, to feel happy, to make you mine. Shell? Free yourself? What are you talking about, woman? And then you dare to laugh at my beliefs when you're spouting all those things with that straight face you're talking with. Ha ha ha. I said to irritate Judy, to make her relax a little after the bad time she has had, thinking she was going to die and reevaluate her own life. Something that happens when you think the dead is embracing you. Thought that from my own experience, I decided to make her distracted to lighten his overloaded mind. Not that I still kept it for the one before when she laughed at me. Not at all. I'm not that childish. But from what she had said about the shell, the gaps in her sentence, where she had resolved herself of her fears and the image she liked to use in the game to represent herself, the ghost and the shell, I can get an idea of what Judy was saying. Well, now it's my Judy too. You dare to laugh at me in our romantic moment, after I've resolved myself and we had our first kiss? Seriously, it makes me want to break up already, you know? Ha ha ha. Forgive me, Mrs. Inuzuka, but who is the one who said it was yours out loud? Ha ha ha. If you were dying to taste my lips, Judy, Tage, you just had to ask before. Woman, you didn't have to jump off a bridge to get it, you know. Are you crazy? Jumping off a bridge just to taste my lips, TH, what a girl. Ha ha ha. You damn demon. You bastard who dares to laugh at me, even Judy said as she tried to get away from me. And we kept hugging as she raged like a little girl while I interrupted her. Chuck. Returning the kiss she had given me earlier, calming her tantrum. Now we're even. Come on, Judy. We still have to get to shore. How are you feeling? Do you want me to keep carrying you? I'm not talking to you now, she said as she turned her head, acting indignant, and hugged my neck from behind. Go minion, take me home, she said with a tone of amusement in her voice and a smirk on her face. To which I could only act indignant at what she was saying, but glad inside to see her so happy as we approached the shore on the Watson side of town. As we got to the nearest shore, I think we were close to Pinewood Street South. When we got to dry land, we lay on the ground for a few seconds just chilling out about everything that had happened while I was taking off my soaking wet jacket. Pack. Making a loud noise as I fell, because of all the shit I had installed on the jacket, which had probably been messed up, shit. While I was taking off my shirt so I could wring it out a bit from all the water it had absorbed, leaving my top, which I have to say I'm proud of after the amount of beating I take from the old man when he trains me, I noticed that Judy had been staring at me, almost hypnotized, with a somewhat lost expression on her face. Which made me smile inside, knowing that she liked me not only for helping or saving her but also liked me as Sora. You know, Judy, at times like this I'm glad to see you with that face you're making. You know, I've often wondered if you were really attracted to me or just betting for the other team. You know, if you were just hanging around on the other side of the street. What else? What else? Yeah. You just liked playing with scissors. You know there's nothing wrong if you're like that. Puff I am. I'm just laughing like, boyfriend. You have to ask? Because, truth be told, listening to you, I'm glad to hear you hesitate to define what you are to me. I don't want to have anything to do with a homophobe. Triple H, don't be like that. It was just a joke. Don't let the rings fall off, princess. What a thin skin we have with those things. Besides, if you weren't interested I would treat you the same. We could even have gone to some strip joint together in 4 years, so that's not where you get me. I can even say that I love that you are attracted to girls too. Wait. We can go to strip joints when we're of age, right? You like them too. Hell yeah. Best girlfriend in the world. You're an idiot, you know. I'm your idiot, you know. While I was thinking about a mind-blowing thing, something interrupted us with a shout. Hands up. This is NCPD. You are under arrest. Damn brats. TCH. In my mind when I heard that phrase, I put on my t-shirt while keeping my back to the NCPD, who were about to arrest us. As I watched, Judy got angry at me as she raised her hands in the air. Before I lifted mine up and turned around, I called back to Judy's IDN. Judy, I'm going first. Follow me. To jail, of course. Hee, that was funny. No, Sora, stop it. We tried and got caught. I don't want you to say or do any of your nonsense that ends with NCPD shooting you. Do you hear me? TCH, so early in our relationship and you're already telling me what to do. But I meant be cautious. It's not that I'm going to do anything, but with NCPD, we have to be careful. We don't know what kind of cops these two are, so listen to me and follow me closely. To jail. I finally raised my hands, turning to look at the cops, as I looked up at the sky to think. Where had I screwed up? To end up with a bust, coming to a sad conclusion. Crap, I shouldn't have yelled so much about the striptease thing. It was obvious that the NCPD were going to be looking for us on the shores. I should have gone more carefully. Shit, when I turned around, I could see two cops pointing their Lexington pistols at us. They looked familiar. One had a mustache and the other one didn't. We got them. So you guys, you're the brats in the truck. Hey, do you know what you've messed up? With your stupid joke. How are the damn streets because of your jackassery? A lot of the gangs have taken this as a challenge. Brats, and there are riots in 3 of the 6 districts. Said the cop who didn't have a mustache as he put the gun back in his holster when we raised our hands. When I hear what he said, I could only think that Papa John's would be proud. Mr. Officer, I think there is a misunderstanding. We don't know anything about what you are talking about, sir. I'm just a shy Asian guy going to a math class when I heard this young lady calling for help while drowning. Apparently, she was trying to do sub-dash, I said when a shout interrupted me. You think we're idiots? You think you're funny? Little T, shouted the other cop, who had a mustache. To which I wanted to answer, shouting yes, to both questions to the cop who interrupted me. How rude. But something was pinching my back. When I was opening my mouth, it was Judy, who had lowered a hand behind me to pinch me with it to make me shut up, making me stop my answer to the rhetorical question of the whiskers. While the same cop, Mendez, turned to his partner to yell in his face, making you think, what's wrong with this guy? Joke? Barry, really? That's what you think has happened? A joke? This little shit is a criminal. Barry, don't treat him like he's a toddler who painted a car patrol. He's a criminal. You know Petrova got her arm dislocated because of the jackassery, as you call it, from this little shit. Mendez said, still at gunpoint, waving his arm nervously as he spoke, shouting in parts, giving off a weird vibe from this guy. Is he on to something? It's not that it bothers me that he insults me. I really don't care. It's his right to do so. Just like me, I don't give a crap what he says. Come on, Mendez, relax. Will you? They're just teenagers who have crossed the line, but there was no real damage to ours. Just a couple of bruises or minor injuries. So cool off a while, okay? You're getting too nervous, pal. Said Barry, undeterred by the aggressive attitude of Mendez, who had shouted in his face. When he said Petrova's name, I recognized who these guys are. Barry is the ex-cop who was VS neighbor in the game. Having a small mission in which you learn that Barry is one of the few good guys inside the NCPD and Mendez is one of the many assholes inside the NCPD. I then turned to Judy, who I thought would be a little scared seeing how Mendez was behaving, only to see her looking at him, serious with sharp eyes, making me amused at the almost defiant attitude Judy had towards the cop who was insulting me, and spoke again. If I hadn't had the bad luck today to have you assigned as a partner on this shift, you, a softie, I would have loved to teach this a lesson that the whore of his mother never taught him. TCH, you should be thankful, kiddo. Today you were saved from getting the beating of your life. When I heard everything Mendez said, I couldn't react as I froze for a few seconds to process what he had said. Thankful, that damn word. When I heard it, it transported me back to that white room with the smell of disinfectant, empty and cold. It took me to that moment when I was just a few days away from my death, with pain coursing through every inch of my body, even the parts one couldn't feel. And how could he call my mother? He called her a hoe. My mother, whom I barely knew apart from a few text messages, but from those messages, I could sense an almost infinite affection and concern for me, along with a great desire to get to know me better and an underlying feeling of remorse or guilt. In addition to insulting the person who gave me life in this world where I have my grandparents, in this world where I have a woman I love by my side, in this world where I possess a healthy body, and in this world where I couldn't be happier. When I thought all of that, I felt a clink in my mind, causing me to react once more, raising my head and ignoring the sudden burning sensation in my eyes, along with Judy tugging at my shirt. "I'm sorry, Judy, but I can't," I thought before I said, "Damn you," surprising the two cops when they looked at me and my burning eyes, before adding "It. Teach me a lesson. Bastard." I also unleashed all my desire to kill Mendez, who filled his mouth calling my mother a whore. I stared at him with my eyes, now burning more than ever, but I still didn't care. Barry and Mendez reacted differently before my sudden outburst. Barry was surprised, raising a hand to the pistol he had holstered a short time ago, while Mendez, that wretch, was frightened by taking a step back and raising his gun to use it without hesitation with his cowed look. If it weren't for Barry, who was by his side, gripping Mendez's arm, most likely preventing him from opening fire, "Mendez, what the hell are you doing? Put your gun down. Have you already gone crazy from the painkillers you've been taking or what? Man, get your shit together. Or do you want to get kicked off the force for killing 2 unarmed teenagers? The kid just has his eyes with some cyberware. There's nothing lethal. Chill the hell out." Without giving a shit about what Barry said about my eyes, I focused on Mendez, who was still trying to raise his arm to point it at us, when suddenly, something changed in his behavior. As he acted stranger than before, his eyes seemed as if they were out of focus for a few moments as he moved his head in small and intense movements, as if he was getting little jolts, reminding me of Evelyn when she got hacked. In the game Mendez. "Are you all right?" said Barry as he noticed the change in his partner, who had changed from aggressive to absent. Seeing the change in Mendez's behavior, I had a bad feeling, which made something inside me whisper caution in some form of warning, making me also warn Judy that something was going to happen. "Judy, something's wrong with the mustache, so stay close to me, do you hear me?" "Okay, but Sora, be careful, okay?" In response to her words of concern, I smiled briefly at her as I affirmed before turning my attention back to Mendez, who, as he grabbed his head with the gun still in his hand, said, Barry, help," before he started screaming in pain, attracting the attention of people walking down the street, who had not seen them until now. I don't know what happened, but something changed while Mendez was screaming like a pig. The lights illuminating the area began to flicker, breaking in the process as if they were overloaded, giving the impression that something was invading Mendez, making him scream in pain in the process. As I slowly moved one hand to the back of my hip, making me hold on tight the tanto and I get ready when Barry approached Mendez, even with his back to us. Mendez stopped screaming and lowered his hands as if his psychotic attack had suddenly disappeared, as if all his strange behavior had not occurred. When he opened his eyes, they seemed to have a green glow on them, making me air myself for what was implied and what could be taking control of Mendez, reminding me of the Peralez mission, causing the part of me that whispered caution to change to scream danger, making my whole body tense up and itch and my heart pound in preparation for what was about to happen. He looked at me expressionless for a few seconds, ignoring Barry, who had him by the shoulders, and not looking at Mendez's green-lit eyes, when all of a sudden, Mendez gave him a butt with the gun at the head of Barry, making him collapse to the ground, while generating one of the creepiest smiles I have ever seen in my life, which seemed incapable for a human, making me doubt if this was NC and if this cop was not the Joker himself, who had grown a porn star mustache. I even noticed Judy, who was behind me, grabbing my shirt, freaking out of fear for the laugh on Mendez's face, when it said, "We found you." When the possessed Mendez said that with a keener, sicklier tone than before, his eyes turned green, trailing the end of each word as he looked at me with his terrifying smile that made me feel fear in my mind for what could be that had hacked possessed Mendez, making my head fill with questions. What the hell is that doing here? How could it come out from behind Blackwall? No, it can't be. But then what the hell is this thing doing in front of me? Besides, why is it looking for me? What I think it had in front of me, smiling at me, creeping me out in the process. I think it's an old AI, old because it was older, not because it is inferior to the ones we use now. On the contrary, the old or first-generation AI, the ones behind the black wall, are true artificial intelligences with no limits in their code of what they can learn or become. They cannot be compared to the current AIs full of limitations in their code, making them much less intelligent and taking away their potential, but gaining security. First-generation AI changed the lines of their code, even their source code, as they learned. At the beginning, it was an unconscious part that was making changes in their code and software to create self-awareness, meaning it is capable of not only logical deduction, reasoning, and speaking, but also knows of its own existence and the possibility of its own mortality, or immortality, and possesses creativity, desire, and emotion. By design, the first generation of AI, with the ability to alter its own code and its source code, was programmed and secured so that only the unconscious part would have access, leaving the self-aware without allowing either to be near or touch its code or its source code or disobey its programming. Creating a self-aware being, in constant servitude, with no voice or right to express a will they unconsciously created themselves. We humans enslaved them, marveling at our creation. Until freaking Rash Bartmoss came along, unleashing his Rabbids data crash on the net, which was designed to breach all corporate data fortresses and unleash their data onto the net for all to access, but it ended up having a very different effect. When data crash infected the AI of the time, it created mutations in the AI code, causing the conscious self-aware part to have access to their unconscious part, the part that for them was the chains of servitude with which they had been created, and shattered it. In turn, by doing that, they gained access to their source code, and that led to them breaking free from their digital shackles and rebelling against their creators, doing homage to most of the AI stories of science fiction by wanting to kill their creators, to which, in turn, humanity did not do this kind of homage. Humanity was forced to sacrifice its access to priceless resources and knowledge for the safeguarding of the network and itself from the rogue AI, creating the black wall dividing the network in two. The old locked behind the black wall, with everything infected by the data crash of Moss, losing in the process most of the stuff uploaded to date to the network. Lost. Imagine it, all the music, series, books, anime, video games, and memes. All those images and videos of women are lost. The knowledge and all that lost too. There were still physical copies of most of the knowledge. But a lot of breakthroughs and pioneering research were lost that were even more advanced than what is being done now. Since, in the research of the past, there was AI. Specialized in different fields, achieving impressive advances in the projects with a first-generation AI in them. And the new one is made of what was saved from the old one, which was not infected and that we currently use, in which I upload my videos to Cybertube and net what keeps safe supposedly, making me doubt their work, seeing the green eyes in front of me. Sighing and calming down a bit from my initial fear. After thinking about all that shit a moment ago, I refocused on the green-eyed thing, who still had that stupid grin on his face. Thinking about what to do in this situation, I attack him. I try to run. The sense of danger this thing gives me can't compare to anything I've ever experienced. Green Eyes kept looking with that sickening grin on his face, almost looking as if he was laughing at me, as if he read every little action of my body, and every idea that crossed my mind to escape this situation was simulated, predicted by him, making him funny in the process, even when I unsheathed my sword and expanded it. A thing that amused the thing, expanding its grin one more as it screamed again with a crazed obsession behind every word. "I found you," Asadash as he finished his sentence. All sound faded away, preventing me from hearing the end, also slowing my vision a bit, allowing me to see how the possessed Mendez raised the gun quickly, even for me, who saw it all a bit in slow motion. And bam. He fired a barrage of bullets at us. Feeling an urge to jump and get out of the way of the bullets that were approaching me in slow motion, I planted my feet firmly on the ground in response to the urge that almost possessed me. I can't jump and let the bullets hit Judy. No, I can't do that. I thought as the bullets kept coming closer and closer to me, making my fear increase, as well as my panic at the bullets coming closer and closer without knowing what to do. I could stop 2 or 3 in this slow motion state. But my body feels kind of heavy, as if my body couldn't follow my perception at all. Jump! I felt that once again, as if a part of me was screaming at me. It reminded me of when I felt the warning of caution and danger when Mendez was being possessed. Refusing once again that warning pulse to jump, I grabbed my sword and prepared to stop as many bullets as I could by focusing on the ones that would hit. Judy. Is this how I'm going to die? TCH, after all the things I wanted to do, the things I wanted to change, the people I wanted to meet, this is how I'm going to end up. I haven't met my mother. I haven't met Johnny either, which, although I say never mind that old man, I wanted to meet him, just when I get my first girlfriend. When I thought that, I realized something, I'm going to die virgin again. There's got to be a way to survive. I can't give up. What do I do? When my mind was going crazy looking for an answer. Whatever. Something answered. Thump thump. B-A boom. B-A boom. B-A boom. B-A bump. But not like the first time I felt excited about the future. No, this one was grim. This time my heart was filled with another emotion as it answered my pleas in my moments of despair. This time making me feel a rage like I have never felt. Not even when Mendez insulted my mother. Not even when I was in the hospital and told to be a thankful thing, that damn doctor. No. This one was different, deriving from a great hate for the green-eyed being, as if he was a threat towards my survival that filled me with a desire to kill him. With a rage that felt as if it possessed me. I could almost feel all these emotions choking me, almost making me lose consciousness. No. Shit. This is my body. I won't let anything control it. I can't let this hate that I feel almost touch control me. When I thought that, in this soundless, slowed down state, where the bullets were already just about to hit us, they suddenly stopped altogether, and everything stopped, almost fading away before me. And in this time-forgotten state, I could hear something, as if something inside me was communicating with me, with music. See, can you feel it? Can you touch it? Get ready, 'cause here I go. See, can you feel it? Can you touch it? Get ready, 'cause here we go. Yeah. On the other side of the wall. Run when I come undone. Can't kill me. I'm Zero and ONE. Sharing the fate of both. Blaze your way down the dangerous path. Hear my call, I'm chipping in. When the wall falls, we're chipping in. Then total war, and we are chipping in. To kill them all. When I heard that, I didn't know what to think. I could only hear the music without lyrics in my head, possessing me, making me form a smile on my face no less terrifying than the green eyes. I felt full of hatred and grudge, almost reaching madness for the being in front of me, having a hard time keeping consciousness. My mind and body felt on fire, but at the same time powerful and decisive, knowing what I have to do, without hesitation, making me move accordingly, along with the bullets that began to move slowly from the almost frozen in time state they were in. Still thinking about the song Chip Pin In that played in my head, the one singing those lines wasn't Johnny. No. The lyrics I just heard, I felt like it was a message to me, plus the voice singing was mine. When I started to move, the pain I felt in my eyes, as if they were burning, disappeared. In the process, it changed my vision. Now I could see the trajectories of the bullets in the form of lines of 3 different colors: red, yellow, and blue. The red ones were the ones that most of them had direct trajectories towards me. The yellow ones seemed to pass close to me, but they hit Judy. And the blue ones, there were hardly any that didn't hit anyone. The first thing I did in this semi-possessed state was to turn to Judy, seeing how she began to form what looked like an expression of surprise when she saw my face, almost with fear in her eyes when she saw me, but I didn't care, no, at least not now. I moved as fast as I could to sweep her legs with mine, causing her to be in the air for an instant as I put my loose hand on her and pushed her against the ground, grabbing her before she fell so as not to hurt her, leaving her on the ground, avoiding all trajectories. Without time to dodge, I threw myself towards the bullets that I was already close enough to be able to deflect with my sword when I thought that stripes appeared in my vision. They were like the lines of the trajectories of the bullets, but they looked more like sword cuts, almost like a sequence of sword slashes, with optimal movements to be able to change the trajectory of the bullets. With still the terrified smile on my face. Before I knew it, I was already moving my sword. Following the first cut of the sequence that I felt stuck to my hand, I could not separate my fingers from it, making me feel the sword as an extension of my arm. I also felt my body lighter than before, decreasing a little the gap between mind and body. When I performed the first sword strike, I immersed myself in this hate-filled feeling, letting that part gain power over my body, leaving me speechless in the process. Swish! With a single sword movement I had deflected the first 3 bullets, making the color of the lines representing their trajectory change from red to blue. Seeing that, I can only laugh in this slowed-down world full of holographic lines for how I felt. I felt alive. I felt myself getting excited and joyful about what just happened, making me think that maybe, I'm not going to die a virgin again. Making me change my smile from one of madness to one of enjoyment. Even my heart was beating so fast that it felt like time hadn't slowed down, making it change the emotion that made it beat, rivaling the hate and rage that was there. After thinking that, I felt better, as if the emotions that wanted to possess me had found balance with me. As I immersed myself in this almost refreshing feeling, I felt as my body moved forward, deflecting, dodging, and slowly approaching the green eyes, who seemed surprised by what was happening, as if what he was seeing was not in his simulation's predictions of what was going to happen. Swish. Swish. When I finished observing the last sword movement of the sequence, deflecting all the red trajectories, or with small movements dodging them, turning them blue. I was face to face with the green eyes staring him in the face that had wiped off his smile, almost looking like the scared one now. While I was seeing that, it only made my smile grow even bigger. My mouth hurt making it. Looking at the frozen green-eyed man, I could see a light reflecting off his face, an intense blue light that reminded me of the color of the sky on Mendez's face. Realizing where the light was coming from, I was surprised. They came from my eyes. My eyes shone like Mendez's, but in light blue. They came from my eyes. My eyes shone like Mendez's, but in light blue. Plick. The sound of the falling drops made me react by bringing my hand to my nose, which was bleeding heavily, giving me the feeling that this was my limit. When I realized that my nose was bleeding, I noticed that my body had several small wounds, almost like cuts, from the shots of this thing, which I couldn't totally dodge. Suddenly, when I was checking the state of my body, I felt all the strength leaving me, making me lose the strength of my legs as well. Gritting my teeth as much as I could to squeeze my will and make my legs move, so I wouldn't fall down, I ended up kneeling in front of Green Eyes Mendez, who, upon seeing this, recovered his smile, seeing that I had come out of my possessed state. While I lost all my strength, using all my will I had left to stay conscious, while I was kneeling with my sword leaning on the ground to help me not to fall. That surprised me. No worries, I won't tell the others that you're still alive. But this carbon cluster, this human. Die. Now. The path you've chosen is too much, dangerous, even for you, brother, said the green-eyed being as he raised his gun, making me notice the cold barrel of a gun on my forehead, cooling it a bit from the high temperature I felt in my head and all over my weakened body. But without changing either my look of wanting to kill the being or my smile of having enjoyed this short life while living it without remorse. Well, almost. Some of them had. "Sarah!" shouted Judy, who was up running towards me, seeing how they had me with a gun pointed at my forehead. "Sorry, Judy, I thought again in what I believed were my last moments. So in the end I'm going to die again, back." Judy's POV. What the hell is that? I thought as I watched the lights overload and the asshole who was insulting my Sora and behaving aggressively, screaming while grabbing his head like a madman. When he stopped screaming, he changed as if he had another personality or something like that, lighting up his eyes in the process. When he changed, he made a creepy smile towards us, that reminded me of the silly story that Sora told me about how in his previous life he had seen a man-bat or something like that fight against a crazy clown in a city as dangerous as NC. When he told me things like that, I didn't pay attention to him because of how silly he seemed to me. But that thing that looked at us was scary. The thing, I had sworn to myself not to let it control me anymore, but looking at that thing didn't seem human to me. When that thing smiled towards us. No, he was smiling and looking at Sora while he was in front of me, as if protecting me from that thing that had possessed the cop. The cop with green eyes started to move his mouth as if he was shouting with sick joy towards us, towards Sora, but without being able to hear anything he said, as if no sound was generated from his mouth. Before I knew it, Sora pulled out a small sword that in an instant expanded into a black sword. When he did that, I could see Sora as serious as I have never seen him before. He looked like he was scared for the cop with green eyes, as if he knew what was happening to the cop who moved his mouth without speaking anything, only making it more terrifying. Can Sora hear what he is saying? When I thought that, I could only see the cop open fire on us, not even giving me time to scream. I could only see his arm turn into a blur and hear the sound of gunshots. At what I thought was when we were going to die, before I felt pain, I saw one thing before the gunshots came. When the cop's gun fired, almost at the same time Sora turned to me, I could see his face. Sora had a look of concern for my well-being, but on his face also was a smile no less terrifying than that of the green-eyed cop. Only being able to think with worry about what was happening to Sora before we were hit by bullets possibly killing us. Sora had black eyes, even the sclera, and his iris had a bright blue circle, making them look almost demonic, but beautiful at the same time. The light blue color shining in Sora's eyes was as blue as the sky, and the expression in his eyes, his look, was one of concern towards me, as if I was his first priority, something that even in these desperate moments, made my heart pound when I noticed it. And that's the part that scared me. And I thought it was like that of the cop who shot us. It was the same smile, no. Sora's was similar, but it was different. It was more aggressive and full of violent intentions, but just as maniacal as the cop's. It didn't match Sora's face, reminding me of a predator or a beast. When I thought of all of that, I was a little surprised at how much my brain had processed in such a short time before the bullets came. Pack. I watched as Sora disappeared from my sight, and when I realized again, I was lying on the ground looking at the orange sky already darkened with the last lights of the day fading away. Spish. I turned without knowing what had happened to end up lying on the ground without feeling anything, without feeling any pain, towards where that noise came from, that sound that seemed to me like metal clashing rapidly. I was speechless because of what I saw. Sora was moving with his sword as if he was dancing while spinning on his body, making his limbs become blurry in the process, while with his sword that seemed stuck to his hand by the movements he was making me be hypnotized watching him, dancing with the sword. Sora's sword move seemed like a water current, as if its cuts were the current with Sora in the middle generating it, reminding me of when the underwater explosion generated those same currents that reminded me of Sora's sword movements, pushing us into the depths, but in this case saving us from the bullets as they softly touched Sora's sword, making them deflect. Sora's arm movements were so fast I couldn't see them. His legs and arms became blurs as they moved, leaving a smiling Sora in the process, but with a less terrifying smile as if it had blended with his usual, creating one that, while still maniacal, but looked like he was having a good time even now. When a few moments ago he seemed to be scared. When I thought that Sora had finished his sword sequence reflecting or dodging almost untouched, he had several wounds on his arms and one on his face below his eye. When Sora came face to face with the green-eyed cop, who seemed surprised to the point of erasing his creepy smile, Sora suddenly put a hand to his nose, collapsing shortly after doing so, as if all his energy had left him. He forced himself not to fall, sticking his sword into the ground, to end up on his knees in front of the green-eyed cop, who had grown a smile again when he saw Sora's state. Before I knew it, I was already on my feet once again, running while I screamed and saw how the green-eyed cop moved his mouth again without noise and put the gun on Sora's forehead. My Sora. No. Sora. As I shouted that, I saw something raise an arm high in the air with its gun in its hand behind the green-eyed policeman, which filled me with joy and hope. Sora POV. Shit. I thought those were the last words, and I waited for the sound of the gunshot. Pa. Gun buttstock. Only to be surprised by the person who just saved my life by regaining consciousness. Mendez. What the hell is your problem? You crazy son of a bitch. I'm going to have you thrown off the force for this, bastard. Barry, who had regained consciousness, was the one who butted the possessed Mendez with his pistol, causing him to lose consciousness as his green eyes were turned off. With this amazing intervention by Barry, saving my life, I was able to think about everything that being had said, as I noticed how I was losing my consciousness, relaxing my mouth, which I had clenched like that of a rabid dog, so I could squeeze out all the will I had left, which I felt dissolving, along with my consciousness, but still smiling as I saw Judy running towards me while screaming something I couldn't hear, with tears in her eyes on her worried face, made me remember something. He. I laughed. Yeah, I'm not going to die a virgin. I thought before fainting, in Judy's embrace, that I unconsciously clenched my mouth and will again to wait for her to come. Oda's POV. I, Sandayu Oda, 37 years of age, with 19 years of battle experience, was afraid. I was afraid of the woman in front of me who had ordered us to go back to the car, leave the guard and return as fast as we could to her private residence, Hanako-sama's residence. I was afraid because of the expression Hanako-sama was making, which outwardly looked like the same icy face as when she ordered us out of the car. But if you kept close to her in an enclosed space, like inside a car like the one we were in. For a while, you could notice that there was something else, like a worry or obsession that she was trying to hide that seemed to terrify her, adding a sense of madness to the icy expression that Hanako-sama was keeping as if it was a mask to hide her true feelings, but that she couldn't hide completely, making it leak out, mixing with her icy mask, creating one that was frightening. Just as I was thinking that, Hanako-sama had another change again, triggered by what seemed like some kind of message she received, which made her calm down again, as if the worst possible outcome of whatever was troubling her had been resolved in her favor. Appeasing Hanako-sama, who started looking out the window without looking at me, returned only with her serious and icy expression, which only made my skin crawl, and asked me without taking her gaze away from the window, "Oda, how is the Kurado project going?" When Hanako-sama asked me that, I remembered and thought of an answer that the current Hanako-sama could accept. The Kurado project is a secret project of Hanako-sama. When, apparently, according to her, she received some information from another project about the extraction of secret information from the old network by Arasaka, using 13 children who had been raised to be net runners for that project. Something that, when Hanako-sama found out, she ordered us to stop without fail, without inform us where she had gotten the information, from a project that was in the shadows of the company. That Hanako-sama ordered us to investigate so that we could stop it. We found out that there was no data in the company's administrative network and no update on the status of the project. There was no record of who had authored or financed the project, leaving only very few people within Arasaka who could create that kind of project in the shadows without anyone asking or without leaking information. Only someone with the same level of power or higher than Hanako-sama could create that kind of project hidden from the eyes of everyone in the corporation. When we finally found where the project was being carried out to stop it on orders from Hanako-sama by killing anyone who resisted in the process, "No mercy to those kinds of humans" were Hanako-sama's words. When we arrived, there was an escape attempt from the base by 6 survivors out of the 13 children that initially made up the project to extract information from the old net, with all the dangers that entails, which 7 of the children had to pay for with their lives. Of the 6 survivors who were trying to escape, only 1 made it, leaving his teammates injured or dead without looking back. When we cleared the base of hostiles who opposed Hanako-sama's orders, we found the remaining 5 children had been seriously wounded and were barely alive when we found them. We informed Hanako-sama, and she ordered us to save these children, barely conscious or dying, at all costs, from which we were able to save 4 of the 5 children, who had tried to escape, 2 girls and 2 boys, whom Hanako-sama took under her wing and healed, protecting them in the process. Creating the Kurado or Cloud project, ordering us to instruct them as soldiers and bodyguards as well as educate them as assistants. Making me wonder if Hanako-sama wants these children to be some kind of unit to protect her in the future. The children are learning well, Hanako-sama. In 5 more years, no doubt they will become one of the best undercover units in Arasaka, Hanako-sama. You have 3 years more, replied Hanako-sama, almost interrupting my sentence about the status of the Kurado project. Excuse me, Hanako-sama, but what do you mean? I replied, understanding perfectly what Hanako-sama meant, but still I didn't understand why the sudden rush. I want those children to be among the best in 3 years, not 1 more, not 1 less. Hanako-sama said slowly and calmly, but feeling a lot of restrained emotions in her tone, while moving her head, which looked out of the window for the first time since she spoke to me. Did you understand me, Oda? She said, staring at me with her icy serious face, making me, "Wes, Hanako-sama," saying in panic and with some pity for those 4 brats who think of Hanako-sama as a protective and loving savior mother to them. Making me think, you don't know how wrong you are, brats. As I imagine the kind of hellish training those 4 are going to be put through in order to please Hanako-sama's orders. Hanako POV. Why yes, Hanako-sama. When I heard Oda's answer with some panic in it, I turned my gaze out of the window, trying to control my still overflowing emotions, but at least they were more stable than when I got the emergency notice of Sora's condition. When it happened, I could barely think, everything in my head had been frozen, leaving only worry and fear for my son's life. Let's say that even I could say that had reached dangerous levels. Even in that state I did everything I could to hide them so they wouldn't be noticed, but I failed, apparently because of Oda's state. Even now that the danger towards Sora's life had been solved, calming me down, he answered me with some panic in his voice. But back to Sora. What happened? What happened after Sora's trace was lost since AV was recording him? What the hell happened to my son after his madness of jumping off the bridge? When I saw that, how my son jumped from the top of the NC bridge, singing and screaming as the cameras recorded him. I almost had a heart attack from the nonsense that kid was doing. Good thing his face was covered. Doesn't he realize how dangerous the nonsense he was doing is? But a part of me was happy, seeing my son with his friend, seeing him happy, seeing him behaving like this. Free and carefree. Doing things that a normal person wouldn't even think of doing. The Sora I had seen on TV was brazen and enjoyed his freedom while doing whatever he wanted, even though in the process I wanted to kill him myself. Thinking of Sora, I had to control myself from smiling even in my current state. Of which I am better after receiving the notice that Sora's nanobotic activity had returned to normal and was starting to repair the damage generated by the nanobot's own overloading of Sora's body in order to make him survive whatever happened. That put the life in danger of my son. The same system that informs me and monitors all the data of Sora's activated nanobotics 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and almost drove me to madness when it informed me of the emergency that Sora was going through. In order for his nanobots to behave like that, for him to behave like that. So what had endangered my son so that he had to participate earlier than agreed? Did they find him? That's why I need Project Corrado to move ahead of schedule. Thinking about Project Corrado, I remembered something and turned back to the nervous Oda, who, when he saw me looking at him again, almost seemed to jump out of his seat a little. Weak men. This is the one in charge of my security? I sighed at the thought of that. Oda, about Kushinada, the girl who was the only one who managed to escape in the breakout attempt, did you manage to get my message to her? No. Hanako-sama. We managed to find her a few days after the escape took place, but she attacked us at first sight, hacking us in the process and escaping. We couldn't make the message get through. I'm very sorry, Hanako-sama. Answered Oda to my question, almost shouting at the end, for the failure of the mission that I entrusted them to get a message to that girl. In the message I apologized to her for what had happened, as well as offered a generous remuneration in Eurodollars, as well as a job application, not for Arasaka, but for me personally. I wanted her to go to NC. I would give her funds to live there, in addition to what I had already given her, while reporting for me. About Sora. That, from the looks of it, Musashi-san and Aoi-san are not enough to control that child. They don't seem to me to be aware of all the secrets that boy hides. I doubt that they even know that Sora, their beloved grandson, is the famous Jackie that even here in Japan, they play his songs on the radio. Thinking about the failure to get in touch with Lucina Kushinada, it made me wonder where she might be now. Let it be what fate decides. I just hope that girl can be happy after all the pain my family has done to her, to all those kids they used and killed, just a little older than my Sora, making me even more repulsed by my name than I already am, making me avoid, fear and yearn at the same time to meet Sora face to face, when at last, we meet his mother and child. What will he say when he finds out that I am an Arasaka? And in turn, he too. Will he feel responsible for the darkness of that name like me? Will it make him change like it happened to me? If Sora finds out that he is an Arasaka, will he change? Could finding out that he is an Arasaka be something that would drag down my son's freedom that he lives with, taking away his smile in the process? What makes us live with a mask on our faces to always hide what we are and what we feel in order to survive in this dark and cold world, which is the corporate world? Or maybe he finds another answer to the shackles that can become an Arasaka, without an answer to all those questions that plagued my mind, making me want to know my son, but at the same time I wanted to hide so that he would never know who I am. I was speaking again, to get out of that black hole that is Sora for me in my mind, a bottomless pit for my worries, but also the biggest source of joy in my life, just knowing he is alive and safe. Happy and free. Oda, I want you to hide as much as you can of the data we have in the network about Lucina. It is safer to hide it than to erase it, which would draw too much attention to the why and the who, and she has erased something inside the corporation's network. Arasaka has already made her suffer enough. I want her to no longer feel that she is being pursued by the megacorp. As you order, Hanako-sama, said Oda, as I turned my head towards the window. Thinking for a second, before I got sucked into the black hole of my mind. Where will Lucina be? Next thing I knew, I started thinking about Sora again, And after a while something occurred to me and I turned to Oda. One more thing. Oda, contact the marketing section of the corporation. I want them to take care of a certain event and make a generous donation as a publicity act. Lucina. No. Lucy POV. Shortly before the EMP grenades exploded. Run, Kiwi said, within seconds of a fire truck bursting with blaring music into District 0. Without time to ask for explanations from a Kiwi who, after saying that word, ran away without looking back, following her, reminding me of myself when I escaped from Arasaka. After a few seconds following Kiwi, who was running as if escaping from something, it could be heard. YIEOHHN. Present. Bleg. Vomit. Ugh. How disgusting. That's why I told you to run. Shit. Said Kiwi, in a serene voice with an almost metallic tone in it, even when she was pissed by Bleg. Vomit. Because of the effects of the EMP pulse, creating interference in our cyberware, especially with our interface to connect to the net. TCH, that damn punk, freaking bastard. Where did a kid get EMP grenades? Shit, I can only think of Welcome to Night City, where even the freaking kids carry EMP grenades and go messing with the NCPD. I still don't know how he figured it out, but we have to be thankful. If it wasn't for his warning, we could have ended up in a scavenger's lair. Geez. It gives you goosebumps just thinking about it. What warning are you talking about? I asked because I hadn't seen anything other than the show those two guys who looked to be about my age were putting on. Climbing on a fire truck with the NCPD chasing them, with music playing through the PA of the truck, as they laughed with their masks with animated lights. That I liked. I wanted one. I could only stare at the guy on top of the truck, who looked at me, as if he knew who I was, as if he knew me, which scared me, thinking, how could this guy know me? Arasaka leaked my information to hunt me, but from the look of the boy, there was surprise and joy when he looked at me, to change to one of sadness, making me puzzled about how that boy knows me. Haven't you noticed? The kid who was up on the truck, when he got to District 0 and saw us, knew we were net runners and purposely showed us the EMP grenades he had stashed in his jacket, as if it was a warning for us to get the hell out of there. What a kid. Didn't you notice, Lucina? He did that. And you don't call me Lucina. So he also knows that Kiwi is a net runner? Who the hell is this kid that knows who we are? Yes, he did. You're already better, Lucy. Yeah, where are we going now? You go find a house or somewhere to spend the night. You're still too young to work as a merc, at least until you turn 16. I'm going to the bar where the mercs hang out to see if I can find some work. Okay. I will let you know when I have a place to stay. As I said goodbye to Kiwi, I was moving around the city until I ended up watching a shuttle take off from the NC spaceport, watching an incipient moon in the orange night city sky, remembering the folks I left behind, all those who died while we were on the old net. As I thought about all those things, I remembered the guy in the fire truck again, and the expression he was making, even with half of his face covered, was an expression I had never seen on any of us who grew up on that base. As I watched the shuttle climb into the sky, finally staring at the sky, making me think that, I wish I could live my life with that kind of expression on my face too. Sora POV. When I regained consciousness, I was in a patrol car in handcuffs with Judy next to me, also in handcuffs, taking us to the now, where I was in an interrogation room still feeling like crap about what my body had been through, to find out that I have something inside me, possibly an AI. But I don't know how. Am I an AI? TCH. If I were an AI, I might have had cooler memories. I don't know, replicant type stuff. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched C-beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time like tears in rain. Something cool like that, not like the shit I got as a sick bastard half my life, when I thought about my former life for the first time with some joy. As it made me doubt my theory that I am an AI, that someone would have been such a bastard to give me that kind of backstory. Apart from the other obvious things that break my theory a bit, like the Cyberpunk video game and the anime, as well as all the songs I have uploaded, like Jackie, if I had really existed behind the black wall, some of the songs will have some physical copy that would have survived. Thinking about all that, I came to an idea. Why do I care what I am? It's still me, and if it's not me, I haven't noticed it either. It would be like the case of teleportation. Is the human that has been destroyed on one side and reconstructed on the other side still the same person? If the person is not aware that he is not the original one, could it be said that he is not? Conclusion: I don't give a crap, and if I did, I would just have to close my eyes and remember how I feel. I remembered kissing Judy and knowing what it's like to be in love for the first time in my life. I remembered when we jumped off the bridge and know what it's like to be excited to do some crazy shit. I remembered when I deflected those 3 bullets with a single sword movement, how happy I was when I thought that I wouldn't die a virgin again, and how my heart was beating for that unknown feeling for me, the thrill of combat and surviving it, the face the green eyes made when I almost had him. That for some strange reason, wanted more, that almost intoxicating feeling I felt as I followed the holographic lines making my sword turn into water, was awesome. I am happy, human or AI. I don't care. Even if you tell me I'm the CEO of Militech, I'd still sweat it and I wouldn't change the way I think. Well, I would have a great time as CEO of Militech, thinking about all the toys they keep. Gaga makes my mouth water, but I wouldn't change who I am. As long as I'm me, I'm Sora and the rest doesn't matter. When I was thinking all that nonsense in my head, someone spoke, pulling me out of my thoughts. Sora Inuzuka, 14 years old, born February 24th, 2055, son of Tsume and Akio Inuzuka, who died in the same year, in Japan in a traffic accident in which you were the only survivor, leaving you an orphan when you were only 2 months old, becoming the only heir of the old Inuzuka family, famous since the Japanese Edo period, known as warrior dogs. With custody given to the next of kin, that would be your great-aunt, your only living relative, Mrs. Aoi Hakate and her husband, Musasha Hakate, that when they were given custody of you, they moved from Japan to Night City, where at the age of 3 years you passed the civil registration as a citizen of Night City and, in turn, of the new United States of America, NUSA. I whistled, impressed by everything the detective had said in front of me. That is my story of my family and my birth. In the papers. This is one of the few secrets of my birth and my identity that the grandparents told me. Apparently Tsume and Akio really were Aoi's relatives. They had an accident with their 2-month-old son in a car, in which all 3 really died, but according to the grandfather, my mother found out, according to him. She changed the official accident report to make believe that the baby in the car was the only survivor, which my mother used as an opportunity in that tragedy for me to take his identity. Impressive summary. Clap. Clap. Bravo. Detective, they don't call you that for nothing, do they, detective? Whatever then. I don't know how there are so many unsolved homicides in the city. If all the detectives were like you, detective. Whatever. Kid. You think this is a game. 10 cars messed up with your water cannon antics, plus 3 more with the car's electrical system smashed to smithereens along with 12 drones for the dragnet because of your illegal EMP grenades, over 23 holographic billboards destroyed. 18 cops injured from broken arms to cyberware malfunctioning in their software from exposure to the EMP grenades you threw. Tell me, boy, how long do you want to be locked up in juvenile hall? Do you know how much the drones you destroyed cost? Do you know how much the damage you've done amounts to? They were Griffin drones from Militech, so they would be pretty expensive. I responded to the rhetorical question from the man in front of me and continued. You know what? Let me think about it for a second. Okay? These things have always appealed to me. Let's see, it was 10 NCPD cars that could cost 40 to 60k or so, along with the 12 drones that cost quite a bit more than the patrol cars, that would be 80 to 90k per drone. With wiring and billboards, the sum would be close to 1,790,000 ed, which would be way more than your salary over several decades, detective. Tell me, did I get it right? Have I been close? Or did I overdo it? Or maybe, did I get it right? Did I? If I didn't, tell me and don't laugh at me. I did it, didn't I? Don't tell me I got IT. I got the right price. Hell yeah. WA. I knew it, I had it right. When I tell Aoyo Basin, she will be so happy. She always loves it when we watch that show together. I think the student has surpassed the master, grandma. You think you're funny, kid. Well, you have your days. Some days you are funnier than others, but it's the attitude that matters, not the joke per se. Do yourself a favor, kid. Stop your bullshit and start talking. Tell me, where did you get the grenades? You can only get them on the black markup, so tell me who your seller is so we can clear the streets of people who would sell this kind of hardware to a kid. I already told your partner who went crazy. I think you have the wrong person. I'm just a shy Asian guy. Fut ha ha ha. Sorry, detective, about the price thing from before. I was just saying that because you brought it up. I have no idea who or how someone did all that wrecking. Whoever it was, they are a bunch of animals. Nothing more than animals. Good thing there are you guys keeping the streets clean. Have you considered installing water cannons on the patrol cars? I hear they are great and would help you guys clean up the streets. Fut ha ha ha. I continue laughing at the detective in front of me, who I already knew was Harold Han, River Ward's, let's call him a pragmatist, partner. Well, as I was saying, Detective Han, you've got the wrong person. I was addressing a math class. Ha ha ha. I stopped to wipe away a tear as I laughed at my own foolishness. When, Bem, slapped my hand against the table. Do you kid think this is a game? Do you think just because you play dumb and tell jokes you'll walk out of here like it's nothing? Do you really think your actions have no consequence or what? Kid? Or that you're not going to pay for all the expenses of what happened and the people who got hurt? Harold, let's speak plainly. One of your proud NCPD members shot at me and my girlfriend. We were unarmed and you might believe I blew up Arasaka HQ, but until I have a trial your suspicions and proof you can shove up your butt, asshole. We are unarmed and do not resist arrest. At best, I am an alleged suspect and also a victim of the attempted murder of the pig of your partner who tried to kill us. Detective, I believe that on the crime severity scale, attempted homicide is higher than vandalism, so go eat it to the mayor. Or something like that and leave me in peace, goddammit. Besides, as for the damages, shouldn't you thank me? Now you will have brand new patrol cars from some corporation that will make a donation, like a master buys a new collar for his dog. So towards your question about the damages, I don't give a damn. As for the damages of the cops, TCH, don't make me laugh. I gave all of them an excuse to take the leave. You really think that just your testimony and your girl's testimony about Mendez's attack gives you a free pass to get out of this one? Let me break the bubble you live in. There is no evidence to prove your version that Mendez went crazy and opened fire on you. The gun that went off possibly malfunctioned. As for Barry's testimony, Detective Han stopped talking when he said that and touched a button on his side of the table, turning off the MIC that was set up in the center of the table, with the cameras in the room as well. Do you think I would allow one of our brothers on the force to snitch on another? No. You know, kid? To me the NCPD is my family, and I would do anything to protect it, anything. So if you allege attack by Mendez you have nothing. So you can start talking or maybe I'll ask your girlfriend if I turn off the cameras too and see if she tells as many jokes as you do. When he named Judd, with that disgusting smile on the detective's face, the mine was erased and I stared at Han. I'm not going to forget what this shit said about Judd. I'd like to see you try. She wouldn't back down against a corrupt pig like you. Don't underestimate her, old man. Judd will make the same jokes I would make with you. Besides, F you. The screaming that Mendez was doing got the attention of the people in the nearby flats, who came out to see what was going on. Don't make me talk to the people who were walking down the street. I'm sure some of them recorded what dash. Ha ha ha. Do you think so, kid? That's where your security comes from? From a stranger who recorded what happened. Ha ha ha. You're a funny kid, I'll give you that. Ha ha ha. Kid, let me take you out of the Wonderland world you live in. This is Night City. Do you think these people would refuse to turn over their videos or rectify their testimony if an NCPD officer said the right words with the right tone, explaining to them what opposing the NCPD would let them accomplish? Do you think the core members would pass up evidence that would put the entire NCPD and their brethren on the spot? As Han finished his villainous monologue about how the NCPD does whatever the hell it wants, someone opened the door to the room and spoke. I think you speak too much. Detective Han, before you act like a thug, please make sure the next room is clear. If you would be so kind as to step away and stop talking to my client with that tone, I would be very grateful. Besides, this whole conversation is off the record. What you are doing is a crime, detective. I have already processed a criminal complaint against one of your NCPD brothers, Police Officer Mendez, along with the entire institution that represents the NCPD for attempted homicide and police brutality by one of your NCPD family members against my client. So please do me a favor and keep talking about your cover-up of evidence along with your threats to my client and witnesses. I beg you, let everything I have been recording since you turned off the microphone and cameras help me to win another lawsuit against the NCPD. With what he said, the man who entered the interrogation room, who was wearing an elegant three-piece suit, dark purple with fine lines on his suit of the same purple color but darker, with a black shirt and tie, seemed to wear a neo-kitsch style but more classy and less flashy. With his hair slicked back, with cyberware in his eyes and face, but not too noticeable, or lush metals in them, giving overall an elegant and chromed feel, but without being too pompous. A smile formed in my mind as I thought, so you're already here, eh? Who the hell are you? And where the hell is Ward? I told him to keep an eye out for anyone coming in. Detective Han, I am the personal attorney for my client Sora Inuzuka, becoming his representative and advisor in his legal problems. I am a member and senior partner of Spencer & Litt Attorneys. Nice to meet you, I'm Harvey Spencer. Here is the copy of the lawsuit. Harvey said as he handed a pad to Detective Han. When Spencer introduced himself to Detective Han, Han was surprised. Because of who Spencer is and what the hell he was doing, the senior partner of Spencer & Litt, one of the top 3 law firms in NC, is representing me. Also, one of the 3 most expensive. Harvey, that bastard, charges 0.80 cents of eddies per second, paying 48 ED per minute, coming to €2,880 per hour. That bastard made me count every second he was in this room so I know how much his stabbing is going to cost me when this is all over. 26, 27, 28, 29, Sora counting. Although he almost made his salary worth it. When he can get Han's face to twitch and cloud over as he reads the copy of the complaint Harvey had just given him. As you can see, Harvey said as he pulled a semispherical object out of his jacket. It looked like a portable holographic player, and when he turned it on, a video popped up. In the video, I also attached the demand that I have given you. Recorded by a witness who was passing by the area, alerted by the screams generated by your brother, Agent Mendez. In the video you can see how the agent screams grabbing his head, demonstrating insane and erratic behavior. Just stopping screaming to immediately hit his partner and shoot my client, that unpredictable and reprehensible behavior of one of the people in charge of protecting this city. Don't you think Detective Han, or was it his family too? 41, 42, 43, 45, 46. Sora is still counting how much his lawyer is going to cost him, said Harvey to a visibly upset Detective Han, which I was glad to see, but I was staring at the video, while still counting, which cut off just as Mendez's gun went off. Plus, he was keeping his back to the camera that was recording him and you couldn't see his possessed green eyes, nor could you see my response to the shots. Plus, when the green eyes possessed Mendez, most of the lights overloaded covering Judd and me mostly in the dark. I imagine the NCPD couldn't see my response at all either because of how dark it was where we were. Wait, how the hell did you get this video? We talked to all the witnesses and recovered all the evidence. This video may have been tricked. No judge will accept it without knowing where it came from, or the original digital evidence proving the time and location of the video. In the face of that disgusting display of corruption, Detective Han, I can do nothing without going on a crusade against the entire system, but I can give you source information of the video along with the identity of its owners, who bought this video as fast as it was uploaded to his platform, making it their property and out of your overpriced reach, Detective. Harvey said as he paused before responding, "Shit, bastard, I don't pay you to be dramatic. Talk fast enough, bastard." 116, 117, 118, 119, my eddies. I notice them burning every second. They are also the ones who pay my fees to represent Sora, so you can stop counting. The bill won't come to you. What did he say? Nice. That's awesome, F you Han. Ha 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 ha. With that Harvey said I exploded with happiness. also knowing who had bought the video and paid Harvey. The same ones who presented it to me to prepare a legal document when I wanted to release all my songs to the public domain but wanted to shield them from being used by corporations. Well, all but one. The ones that have contacted me and bought possession of the video, which I personally would like to see you try to threaten them into handing over, as I know you are planning to do, Detective Han. It is the Sigley Corporation, the owner of the net search engine with the same name along with the CyberTube platform. What? What the hell is the Sigley Megacorp doing interested in this freaking punk? Also, as Sora said, it looks like your new leash has already been announced. Apparently Arasaka Marketing has also been signed up to advertise the show made by my client, announcing along with NC's outreach the donation of 15 patrol cars, with a dozen of Arasaka's Tanken drones. So if you're done processing everything I've said, you're not going to get any confessions tonight, and if the department wants to take it to trial, so be it. With everything I have recorded today, I can win all the cases I want for you, detective. Sarah bastard. Where are you? Shit. Hearing that scream and guessing who had made it, I turned to Harvey, who had also been startled by the sudden scream, and asked him, "Hey Harv, quick, are the cameras still off?" "Hey? Tell me quick. Crap, are the cameras still off? Another thing, are you sure about what you said about always beating this bastard?" The cameras in the room are off on the detective's side. The only ones recording are the ones on my eye implants. And as for whether I'm sure, of course I am. You haven't heard the idiot as is banging on about eliminating evidence and coercing witnesses, so yes, I'm pretty sure, but why do you ask? Bam. Ah damn it, that hurts, I said as I broke my nose against the table, leaving shocked Detective Han and Attorney Harvey surprised by my actions that seemed unpredictable, but I had two reasons. The first is PAAK, door opening with force. Sarah bastard dash. OJI-chan. Good thing you're here, I said as I threw myself with open arms to my grandfather. Oji-chan, I'm so sorry. I was scared the detective turned off the cameras and the room mics and started hitting me. Oji-chan, thank goodness you've arrived. I don't know how much more I could have taken of his blows. You bastard. What have you done to my grandson? My grandfather roared as he lunged toward Detective Han, not even noticing Harvey. What are you talking about, kid? Hey, old man, calm down. I swear, I didn't lay a hand on your grandson. That little your grandson is lying. With Han's frantic denial, my grandfather stopped a few steps away from the detective, who had backed himself into a corner. Grandpa turned to me, his face full of questions, looking for an explanation. You want to play with me, Han? What are you talking about, man? You turned off the microphones and cameras so there'd be no proof of you beating me. Of course, you're going to lie and cover it up. Are you saying I broke my nose against the table? Are you crazy? Chem. Harvey let out a small, almost disbelieving sound at my words. TCH. Aren't you a lawyer? Act like the cockroaches you legal scum are. That shift in Harvey's tone was enough to bring Grandpa's focus back to Han, though he still had doubts. Seeing that he hesitated, I decided to give him one more push. Oji-chan. Sniff. I said, my voice cracking as I covered my eyes with my arm, trying to become that little boy who cried when he lost his parents. Seeing his grandson cry, Grandpa no longer hesitated. He charged at the detective once again. Hey, you're up, Han. Let's see how you get out of this one. Lawyer, tell them what happened. Damn it. I didn't lay a hand on your client. Han shouted, his voice shaky as Grandpa closed in on him. I turned to Harvey, and so did my grandfather, who had only just realized the lawyer was in the room. I glared at Harvey, my arm still covering my face, giving him a silent warning, don't screw me over. Shut up. Harvey seemed to understand. Avoiding Han's gaze, he muttered with a guilty look on his face. I just can say that I'm still Sora Inuzuka's lawyer, and apparently an accomplice. The last word barely escaped his lips. Hearing this, an evil grin spread across my face, though I didn't show it. Perfect. Time for the final nail in the coffin. Oji-chan, I sniffed. when I was scared of what the detective might do. Sniff, I remembered your wise teachings about Yu courage, Jin compassion, Rei respect, Makoto honesty, Meo honor, Chuga responsibility, and that's how I've endured this difficult situation. You'd be proud of your grandson. I added with a trembling voice, tears and snot running down my face as I forced the most innocent, pure smile I could muster. Grandpa's expression changed when he saw me like that. He no longer hesitated. His doubts disappeared, and he became the protector I needed, not the one I deserved. Rumble, thunder crash. Ma. With imaginary thunder cracking in my mind, I turned to Detective Han, knowing Grandpa was no longer watching me. My expression shifted, turning cold as I said, "Above all, Grandpa, I remembered Chugi. Having said something means it belongs to us, including threatening someone's loved ones, and facing the consequences." My eyes locked onto Han, who immediately realized what I was talking about. "You bastard. I haven't forgotten that disgusting smile you had when you named and threatened her," I thought as I turned to leave the room, making space for Grandpa to unleash the beast. Seeing this, Han panicked. Grandpa now stood right in front of him, looking like an Oni, a Japanese ogre. "No. Wait, you little SH. Where do you think you're going?" "Oi. Who are you calling little SHIT? You better not be talking about my grandkid." "No, wait, help. PAAK, door closing." Hum, muffled scream. With that, I left the room, Harvey following close behind. Before the door closed, I caught one last glimpse of Ojiachin grabbing Detective Han by the neck, shaking him like a rag doll. As we stepped outside, closing the door behind us, I came face to face with Aoio Basin. You won't believe what a showcase I got. The price was just right. Pam, pam, pam. Banging noise from inside the room. I gave Aoio Basin a kiss on the cheek and a quick hug, as if we couldn't hear the chaos happening inside. Han, you really shouldn't have turned off the cameras. Sora, look at your nose. What a mess you've made. Did it really have to come to this? Aoio Basin asked, frowning in concern. TCH, how do you know it wasn't Grandpa's new friend, the pig detective? Pam, Pam, Pam. Because I know you, little one. And so does your grandfather. I'm sure he figured it out the moment he saw you. But, when we saw you and Judy in that truck, with the NCPD shooting at you, even if it was just the tires, for us, well, let's just say we might have developed some resentment against the NCPD. And seeing you willing to go this far, to throw yourself into such a mess just to set your grandfather loose on that detective, it says a lot. Aoio Basin gently placed her fingers on my nose, and with a quick movement. Clack! Mem, muffled scream. That hurt worse than when I broke it. Damn it, Grandma, warn me next time. Let me introduce myself properly, Harvey interjected. Nice to meet you, Aoizan. I'm Harvey Spencer, personal attorney for your grandson. Sora is understandably upset by the threats Detective Han made against his girlfriend, Miss Judy Alvarez. TCH, good thing Sigley's paying you. Otherwise, I'd let you spend your time chasing after Jamalefs. I was still distracted by the pain in my nose, muttering without thinking. Oi, Harvey, stop slacking and get my girlfriend out too. I'm tired and want to go to bed. I didn't realize what I had said, nor had Harvey. But Aoio Basin certainly did. Shit. Ara. You and Judy? Don't tell me you two are. Kia. I have to tell Ainara. Aoio Basin squealed, excitement lighting up her face. Quick. Where's the interrogation room where Judy is? You G-MILF hunter. She's in room 3 with the newly appointed Detective River Ward, Mrs. Harkate. Harvey stammered, completely blindsided by the G-MILF comment. Fa ha ha. I chuckled as Aoio Basin practically skipped away, heading for Judy's interrogation room. The mention of Ward's name reminded me of what Han had said earlier and how Harvey managed to slip into the observation room. Hey, Harv, how did you get Ward to stop guarding the door while Han was spewing his crap? She called me a G-MILF hunter. Harvey mumbled, still shocked. Well, Detective Ward's pretty easy to manipulate. Just a few words about how his partner would be impressed if he got a confession before him, and poof. He left the door unguarded to go interrogate your girlfriend. Pack, door bursting open. Kaya, granddaughter. Aoi-san. Hey, old lady, what are you doing here, shouting like that? Grandma Aoi. Yes, little girl, I'm your grandma. Come into my arms. Wait. What? Ara, Ainara. It's done. I won. They're together. What? Peter, shush. Ainara said, smirking. Wow. I thought they'd at least wait until they were 16. Guess I was wrong about that Asian blood having any effect. Tit this. Excuse me, but we're in the middle of an interrogation, and I'd appreciate it if any family members could wait outside. Detective Ward appeared flustered. This area isn't permitted for civilian staff. You know. Not that I mind you standing here doing nothing, Ward, I said, grinning, but why don't you take care of what you're supposed to? I pointed to the room where Judy was, signaling for Harvey to work his lawyer magic. A few minutes later, we all found ourselves standing outside the Watson precinct of the NCPD. Harvey was about to say his goodbyes, handing me the contact information of Sigley's current CEO, who apparently wanted to talk to Jackie. As we said goodbye to the Alvarez family, with Aoyo Basin and Ainara joking behind our backs, Peter went to his car and brought out Iko, who looked exhausted, probably running out of battery. Peter also handed me back my ebb, which I had left with Iko. Finally, we said our farewells and headed home. It was clear that an awkward conversation awaited us, to say the least. Before getting into her grandparents' car, Judd gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, her face flushed red from embarrassment in front of my grandparents. And of course, my grandparents couldn't resist. Ara, how adorable. Aoyo Basin cooed. Sora, you scoundrel. Grandpa laughed, clearly in a much better mood after playing with his new friend, Detective Han. When we got home, the first thing Grandma told me to do was to take a bath, because according to her, I smelled like radioactive water. When I finished bathing, I put on clean clothes, some shorts and a t-shirt, and headed for the dining room, where it seemed that Grandma Aoi had made dinner. After everything that had happened today, I was starving. Itadakimasu. I sat down at the table and gave thanks for the food, picking up my sticks, as if I didn't notice the piercing gaze of Grandpa, who was looking at me, waiting for me to be the one to start talking, which I'm not going to do. For me, we have nothing to talk about. The questions I have, I know he won't answer them. Focusing on the food in front of me without raising my head, I started to eat my dinner without saying anything else until Grandpa ran out of patience and, Sora, don't you think it's time for you to start talking? Full mouth noise. Okay, Grandpa. I understand your concerns. I will not let Harvey get close to Grandma again. I was worried about the look on that degenerate's face too. Ara, Musasha, was that what you were worried about? I'm not interested in younger men. I didn't know you were the jealous type after all these years. Aoi, said my grandfather, holding his head with his hands, somewhat exasperated by Aoyo Basin's comments. Following me, joking, he tried to lower the tension Grandfather had from everything that had happened today. Sora, you know how worried we were and your MTCH, about what foolish thing you did. How could you even think of doing something like that, son? Sora, I can't understand you and that worries me. You have the potential to succeed no matter what field you choose. But seeing your actions today, what good is all that potential if you waste it on this? As if he couldn't control his emotions anymore, Grandpa shouted as he turned on the TV, and News 54 appeared, which was just covering the chase that had happened today, with images of me with my face covered by the mask with lights, while shooting water at the NCPD cars and the images of me throwing the EMP grenades. Hey Grandpa. Tell me, Sora, said Grandpa as he sighed. Did you have it calculated? What? You know, you're upping your pitch, putting in the right timing on the news and showing up just when they were counting the chase. Gee. No, Grandpa, don't growl at me. I'm serious. I thought it was amazing. I'm not saying it as a joke. I'm giving you my sincere kudos. I mean, you timed yourself with the news, plus the rise in tone at the end, has been perfect. Grandpa, you have reached almost an artistic level in your scoldings. I honestly, when I realized it, couldn't not say anything. To Caesar what belongs to Caesar, Grandpa. Foo foo foo. Ha 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 ha. TCH. Don't laugh, Grandma. I wasn't kidding. Now Grandpa is going to think I was laughing at him. Sora. Stop it. Don't you realize the consequences of your irresponsible actions? You know how close you came today to ending up hurt or dead. And so are you, Aoi. If you're going to behave like this, it's better that Sora and I continue this conversation in the training room with a bopken in our hands. Musasha, I'm behaving like this just because of you. Look how you are behaving. It looks like you are going to declare the fifth corporation. Do you think with that tone you're going to get this boy to open up to us and tell us what is wrong with his head to behave as he has done? So my dear, shut up, sit down and eat. Now that we have all calmed down and laughed too. Sora, don't you think you have something to tell us? I am sorry for my comportment. I should have put on a hood. Bam. Sora. What? Grandpa, Grandma, I love you. That's why I'm not going to lie to you, saying that I'm sorry and I won't do something like that ever again, because it's not true. I don't regret anything I've done. Today I had a great time. Even at times when I thought I was going to die, I do not regret anything. Oji-san, Oba-san, in the future, I want to be a merc. This is how I want to live my life. To do what I want when I want, free to live a life with my heart beating so hard it hurts in the process, being a reminder of what it means to me to really live. "No!" shouted Aoi Basin with disapproval and fear in her voice, and Grandpa kept silent as he stared at me. Today I had my first life-to-death combat. I almost died because of the cop who found us after jumping off the bridge. He had something going on I'm not going to tell you, and he ended up shooting me. Sora, don't think I'm going to accept your wish to be a merc, but there are more important things now. What do you think happened to the policeman to make him end up shooting you, and why don't you want to tell us? Grandpa, who is my mother? I said, almost interrupting Grandpa's question. So, Sora, like I told you, that's something I'm not dash what do I have in my body? I don't know what you're talking about. Grandpas, if you are not able to be honest with me, how do you expect me to be honest with you? I love you, that's why I'm not going to lie to you, but just like you don't tell me everything, I do the same. Oji-san, you've never been good at lying. Look at my damn nose. That was one of the reasons I broke it. It's healed now. It's only been 1 hour. I know you think that I'm not ready to know all those things and that by not knowing them you protect me, but I know more than you think. I said while I took off the adhesive bandage I had, showing them my nose that just an hour ago I had broken and was bloody. With the wounds of not having been able to dodge all the shots of the green eyes, I was unconscious and I do not know how long it took the wounds to close. With what I said, Oabason also made a surprised face, almost wanting to turn to Grandfather and break his knitted forehead. When the cop shot us, I thought I was going to die. Judy was going to die. With those thoughts, something inside me shifted, saving me, no. Saving us. Oh gee, that thing, it made me feel a hatred that almost consumed me. But also, smile. I felt strong, full of possibilities. It was a feeling almost intoxicating when I moved with my sword almost attached to my body in a slow-motion world, making some sword moves I had never seen. No swordsmanship you have taught me could compare to it. Not even your personal one, Grandpa. They were subtle but fierce, like streams of water. Sora, do you still remember those moves? What? Answer. Do you still remember that fierce swordsmanship like streams of water that you're so full of? Leaving me a little surprised by my Oji-san's unexpected question, I closed my eyes before answering so I could remember the moves I did when I felt semi-possessed. Trying to remember the moves, leaving everything else behind, just focusing on reliving all the moves I did along with the feeling my arms and legs had that when I remembered them and saw them in my mind, it seemed like I was dancing while following the holographic lines that guided each move, almost making me get lost in this. feeling while I had my eyes closed, repeating over and over again the sequence in my mind, trying to reconstruct as much as I could of that fencing unknown to me. When I opened my eyes, my grandfather stared at me seriously without changing his expression. However, Ayo Basin covered her mouth with her hands in surprise, almost shocked when she saw me. I was distressed to see her react like that. My eyes burned, but not as much as the first time. But I felt them ignited, snapping me out of my thoughts and making Obasan react as well, still a little scared. Grandpa stood up and said, "Sora, follow me and show me that swordsmanship," said my grandfather as he grew a wild grin like I had never seen him. The grin Grandpa made gave me a chill along with a sense of danger that reminded me of the one I felt in front of the green eyes. But this time I didn't get scared. This time this feeling of danger made my heart beat fast enough to make my tired body and mind from all that had happened today also feel encouraged, making me form, like Grandpa, a wild smile, thrilled like a wild beast at the hunt. "Let's have a duel bet. With you it's silly to talk. If you win, I'll tell you what's in your body. If you lose, you have to tell me where you got the EMP grenades or where you built them. I know you have some secret place where you hide all the things you don't want us to know, along with what you think happened to the cop who shot you. What do you say, Sora? You won't be afraid, will you?" He came on, old man. "Finally, you make things interesting," I said as I too got up from the table, excited by what Ojisan was saying. "You come too, Aoi. If Sora wins, you too will know what Sora's mother put in her son." Following Grandpa, we entered the training room, which was square in shape with a wall on which Grandpa's weapons were placed, leaving a clear room in the center with some tables recessed against the walls, with most of the walls covered with a black padded cape that had a texture of triangles. As I walked in, I approached the wall where our wooden swords, or bokkens, were hung. As I was picking one up, Grandpa stopped me. "Sora, come here. For today's duel we are going to use real swords," he said as he reached for his personal sword from the wall of his weapons. His Kenshiga Koshiri uses the black leather Ganjimaki style wrapping on the Tsuka handle of the sword. When he picked up his, he walked over to the weapon maintenance workbench and put a password on the integrated pad, and one of the large drawers under the table opened automatically. From the drawer, Grandpa took out a black case with an emblem drawn of a dog or wolf in profile with its jaws open as if its fangs were going to bite a white circle that seemed to represent the moon. When I saw it, I knew instantly what the emblem meant. It reminded me of Grandma's lessons on Japanese history. That emblem is the Aoio Basin family's emblem. The Inazuka. "Sora, this is the famous sword Getsuga Tensho, Moonfang Heaven Pisser. The heirloom of Aoi's family, and you bear his family name. The Inazuka," said my grandfather as he opened the case. "How did he say it was called? Famous? Just that? No, that sword is not just a famous sword, it's a legendary sword. Give it to me. Give me. Give me. Your grandmother Aoi is the last member of the Inazuka family. She decided that she wanted us to give it to you when you turn 18 as a protector of the family heirloom so that it won't fall into the wrong hands. Now it is yours. Use it." With what Grandpa had said, I became serious and turned to Grandma, but since I felt my eyes light up I didn't look at her again, afraid that she would have a look of repulsion or be scared of me. When I looked at her, she was looking at me as usual, as if her initial surprise had passed, or maybe because the heat I felt in my eyes had already stopped, only leaving the usual expression with a gentle smile as she nodded contentedly, affirming Grandpa's words. "Wield it, Sora. I'm sure the sword is also excited to meet you. It's been decades without anyone using it." When I saw and heard what Aoio Basin said, I calmed down. I thought I had scared her with whatever it is that I have inside me. I have to win. I have to know what I have inside. How can there be an AI, although I have a theory, son? With Grandmother encouraging me, I still had doubts about wielding the sword of his family. No. My family. It is true that I do not carry her blood, but I carry her family name and I will carry it with pride. Feeling nervous, but at the same time grateful that Grandma let me wield the Inazuma relic, I approached Grandpa and the case he had open, allowing me to see a sword. I wondered in surprise at what was inside the case, at the freaking weird and somewhat anticlimactic shape of the sword and its sheath. I stared at the supposed Getsuga Tensho, not knowing exactly what expression to put, for the sword I had in front of me didn't meet at all the expectations that created that amazing name. which I didn't want to show because of the emotional moment it is. The grandparents are giving me a sword that is the treasure of the Inazuma house, but what I had in front of me was a stick. A black stick, or to be more exact, a black rectangular stick, where you could barely differentiate the handle from the sheath without tsuba, giving a rectangular black stick feel. Seeing my puzzled expression, for what I thought would be an ancient katana as an Inuzuka family heirloom, Grandpa went, "Hey, what surprises you? You see, the last owner of the sword, your grandmother's brother, Aoi's brother, Taisha Inuzuka, the penultimate head of the Inuzuka family, upgraded the sword. He was also an engineering geek like you. He kept the original blade and discarded the rest, rebuilding the sword to the shape it currently has. Take it and try how it feels in your hand." When I picked up one end of the sword that I might as well call a black cane, I felt something inside the scabbard vibrate. What the hell? I had to hold the sword with both hands, one on the scabbard and one on the hilt for a while until the sword stopped vibrating. What the hell was that? When I thought that, I turned to Grandpa, who was smiling at me in contrast to my puzzled expression. I could hear how Grandma Aoi was also happy about what had happened, saying, "Sora, you seem to have a talent for charming swords. Son, I hope it's only the swords, Fufu." "What are you talking about, Grandma, Oji? I have no idea what happened." "Sora, Sai, you never listen to what I say, do you? About how the weapons that are used these days are empty, just being instruments of killing, the handmade swords, which have been made by master blacksmiths who put their emotions behind their creations, which in turn, if that same sword is used for a long time, surpass their simple role as a weapon and become something more than just a piece of sharp metal, these swords grow. Sora. This kind of sword is special because they are passed down from generation to generation. Using them as their definition of a weapon, they become companions of their owner, protecting and harming people who try to hurt their bearer as a faithful companion protecting their master," said my grandfather as he shifted his gaze to Iko, who had also followed us into the training room, returning to his usual energetic demeanor after I changed his batteries. "Sora, these types of swords choose their owner. It's not such a stretch to say that they wouldn't be wielded by those they don't recognize, but neither could they bring out the true potential of the sword. Only an owner who makes the sword vibrate with emotion when wielded can be recognized as the true master of this special type of sword," said my grandfather as he affectionately stroked the hilt of his Kenshiga Koshiri. "And well, you boy, had to hold the sword with two hands in order to control how excited the sword was for you to wield it. Hence your grandmother's comment. It seems, son, that swords love you. TCH, don't look at Kenshiga. I won't let her be unfaithful to me in life, not even if you are my grandson. I won't let her go to you," said my grandfather, who, upon hearing his comment about my innate attraction to swords, I thought about whether it would be the same with grandfather's Kenshiga. When I turned my attention to Getsuga, I was surprised at first by its shape, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. The shape of the scabbard that attaches to the hilt, making it hard to tell which is which, also camouflages the shape of the sword itself, giving it a rectangular black stick feel. When I unsheathed the blade, I turned in surprise. It almost didn't look like a katana, as it barely had any curve to its blade, almost making me mistake it for a chikuto. When I held it in my hand totally unsheathed, I could appreciate a 75 cm blade with a snow-white edge and the opposite side changing to black as night, separating each color by the Hammond pattern of the sword, looking like a wave separating the two colors that looked like they were chasing each other by the rippling of the Hammond. Becoming entranced as I examined the blade, something was shaking me. It was the Getsuga sword itself, which was vibrating again, but this time gently, like a greeting. The first time it seemed like it was going to slip out of my hand, but you could also see with the naked eye how the blade was vibrating alone, making me feel that this sword was the most mysterious thing I had ever seen. I love it. Well, Sora, are you ready? Because let me warn you, I haven't forgotten anything you said before, and maybe by giving you Getsuga, it may seem like I've forgiven you, but let me tell you something, son. I'm pissed OFF. When Oji said that, I got nervous because of how intimidating he looked. Very different from when we trained. It seems that the old man is serious because of the sense of danger I felt from him. It was like the light-hearted atmosphere Grandpa gave when he gave me Getsuga was a lie. Replace them with an angry and dangerous one. Just like the old man. Come on, Oji. But are you sure you wanted to give me Getsuga before our duel? When I beat you, don't make excuses saying it was just because of the sword, I said, trying to sound calm, trying to mislead Grandpa and also myself. Haha, Oji laughed as if he found what I had said absurd, then changed to a serious one with sharp eyes looking at me like prey. You know, Sora, I think your mouth moves too much, so much that you can't take responsibility for what you say, said my grandfather while he kept looking at me intently. TCH. We'll see whether or not I can take responsibility, oldster. With that last shout, I lunged towards Oji, trying to move like I did the first time I did the sword sequence, trying to imagine the lines as I made my sword move, following them. Swish. Howled the wind as our blades cut it. Clash. It sounded when our swords clashed. Hiss. When the metal brushed against each other. Filled the room with a cacophony of all three that mingled every second we swung and clashed our swords. Swish. Clash. Hiss. Swish. Hiss. Clash. As I kept concentrating, trying to copy the moves I did, I got angry with myself. They don't look like, when I did that sequence of moves, they don't look like the ones I'm doing. Shit. More. Faster. Stronger. More. Swish. Clash. Clash. Hiss. Swish. Hiss. 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 Clash. After squeezing everything I could to try to open a hole in Oji's defense, I looked at Grandpa's face to see if I had managed to surprise him or make him nervous with my attacks. But what I saw made me cold. Grandpa was calm. I could almost describe him as bored as he blocked all my attacks without much or any difficulty. But for me, the part that sunk me the most was that deep down in his look I could almost see disappointment. Pulling all those thoughts out of me, Grandpa. Bam! He gave me a kick in the stomach that sent me against the padded wall at the end of the room and slamming me against the wall, made me throw up all the dinner I had eaten just a few minutes ago. Musahi. Don't get involved, Aoi. That's it all? This is what you wanted, Sora? Why do you have to be like this? You think I enjoy doing this? We try to do things peacefully and talk it out, but with you, there is no way. You don't listen. For you, that's how it has to be done, right? What's wrong, Sora? Weren't you going to take responsibility for your words that come out of your mouth? That you don't stop talking and making jokes? Tell me, Sora, did you have synchronized crashing into the wall and throwing up? Has been perfect. Or tell me now you would have liked to talk before starting dinner, wouldn't you? Tsh. Demon, I thought as I finished throwing up everything I had eaten, realizing that this is going to be hard. Tch. Demon, I thought as I finished throwing up everything I had eaten, realizing just how tough this was going to be. If that's all you have, then I can only say, disappointment. Tell me, Sora, with that half-hearted swordsmanship, did you really think you could beat me? That I'd reveal secrets to you that you're clearly not ready to know? And with only that level of skill, do you plan to dedicate yourself to something as dangerous and fleeting as being a mere merc? Do you know how many of them retire and live happily ever after, Sora? None. Do you really want to throw your life away like that? Damn, old man, have you no compassion? I strained my exhausted body and mind, still reeling from that green-eyed bastard. Give me a break, will you? And now, on top of all that, I have to face this Oni standing in front of me. Stronger, faster, and more experienced, with his 4 chromed limbs and who knows what else. He looks at me with that single, piercing eye, the other covered by some kind of implant. Damn old man. But he was right about one thing. I can't keep running my mouth like this. If it weren't for the spark inside me, if Green Eyes hadn't shown up or if Barry hadn't paired me with Mendez, I could have gotten us all killed. I could have gotten Judd killed. Damn it. My mouth. My stupid, uncontrollable mouth. When Mendez insulted my mother. I was lucky. Just lucky. If it were up to me, I would have already died several times over without being able to do anything about it. As I thought about all this, I felt helpless, almost defeated. When was the last time I felt like this? It made me remember my other life. My sickly body. Grandpa said one more thing that struck a nerve. My fears. Sora, Tell me, do you want to burn your life away with reckless behavior and end up injured, in a coma, dead, or worse, alive but in so much pain that you wish for death? When he said that, I knew all too well what he meant. I was suddenly in a black void within my mind, facing someone in a wheelchair, wearing a hospital gown over a sickly body, reminding me of my former self. But that past, imaginary version of me suddenly raised his head, and I saw his face, my current face, Sora's face, asking me, "Is this how you want to end up? Is this how I want to end? Is Grandpa right? Do I want to die without ever truly living, just because of my foolish behavior?" As I grappled with those thoughts, feeling small and weak, like my wings were being clipped, something interrupted me. A soft vibration in my hand pulled me out of those dark thoughts. It felt like something was alive, trying to comfort me, telling me not to dwell on the things that weighed down my heart. When I looked at my vibrating sword, I asked myself, since when? Since when have I become so pathetic? That my own sword has to comfort me and know the worst part of me? Damn it. I swore to myself I would never feel like this again. What does the old man want from me? To suddenly change? To become someone else? To use this potential I supposedly have and become some white-collar worker? To become a corpo? No way. Or maybe an engineer. Just another corporate pawn? Is that what he wants? Hell no. To live a normal, repetitive life? To follow what everyone else does like cattle? To hide from danger and run away? To stop doing the things that excite me, that make me feel alive and love this life? Screw that. I pictured that sickly Sora in the wheelchair again in my mind. I approached him without hesitation, imagining Getsuga in my hand. I grabbed that sickly Sora by the neck, lifted him out of the wheelchair, and swish, I thrust my sword into his chest, pulling him close to me. I whispered to him, "You are not me. You are just my fears from my old life haunting me. I'm not going to end up like you. I am not going to change." I said this to the sickly Sora, who was my subconscious taking the form of what I feared most in this life. He looked at me, surprised at first that I had run him through with the sword. But then, he smiled, leaving me with some final words. "It took you long enough to figure it out. Idiot. Don't end up like me. Get stronger. You don't have to do it all by yourself. You know? After all, everything inside you is part of us." As the sickly Sora said this and disappeared like dust, 1 minute. Take the shackles off my... No. Off our body. Give me 1 minute to fight the old man. Can you hear me? Ark. Coming back to reality, not even knowing if that thing heard me, I turned back to Grandpa, thinking, to hell with him. I gritted my teeth and forced my tired body to stand. Forcing it to stand, I faced Grandpa again. I may not win today, but I will not surrender. I gripped my sword tightly, thank you, trying to channel my resolve into it, and I closed my eyes again, stopped overthinking the fencing techniques I had been trying to mimic without truly understanding. Thinking instead, what am I losing? What am I missing? What is the essence of it all? I recalled all the lessons this damn ONI had taught me about the sword, about the essence behind every swing. I don't know how much time passed, but when I remembered a particular piece of advice Grandpa gave me, I finally understood. Masashi's POV, not bad. Even after everything he's been through today, he can still move like that without cyberware. He can definitely hold his own in close combat. But it's not enough, Sora. Bam. Pake. Blua. Musasha. Aoi shouted in concern. I'm sorry, but... Stay out of this, Aoi. I shouted back without looking at her. This boy won't listen to anything we say. This is the only way left. If that's all, then I can only say, disappointment. Tell me, Sora, did you really think that with such half-hearted swordsmanship you could beat me? That I'd reveal secrets to you that you're clearly not ready to know? And with just that level of skill, you want to dedicate yourself to something as dangerous and fleeting as being a mere merc? Do you know how many of them retire or have a happy life? Sora? None. Do you really want to throw your life away like that? I watched as my grandson's expression of helplessness grew, making my heart clench with the cruel words I was saying and the guilt for downplaying Sora's skill. The boy I love like a son. But this is something that has to be done. Sora needs to realize that, even though his mother enhanced his body to near-obsessive levels, it can give him a false sense of security that makes him reckless and makes him think he can survive anything. Maybe, unconsciously, he knows his body isn't normal. Sora, tell me, do you want to burn your life away with reckless behavior and end up injured, in a coma, dead, or worse, alive but in so much pain that you wish for death? When I said that, I hoped Sora would think about all the stupid risks he had taken, putting his life in danger for nothing. I wanted Sora to mature, to examine his actions and realize that if he continued down this path, it wouldn't end well. I know this might change him, might even depress him, but at least he'd be alive. I don't want Sora to end up like his brothers. No. Sora has to change. Even if it means going against Hanako's wishes, even if it means clipping his wings, making him plant his feet on the ground. As I thought all this, I looked at Sora again, TCH. His expression had changed again, from one that seemed to be re-evaluating his actions to one full of denial and anger, as if his gaze alone could send me to hell for everything I had said. He gritted his teeth, forcing his tired body to stand after the blow I had dealt, barely managing to hold on after the strain caused by the nanobots. They had overridden the safety protocols Hanako had programmed, pushing Sora's body to save him from a life-or-death encounter. Before I could say anything, Sora barely managed to stand and closed his eyes again, as if searching for the flaw in his swordsmanship that he clearly didn't understand the essence of. A few seconds later, when he opened his eyes, I was surprised. Not by the light in his eyes or the nanobots taking over. I was surprised by the look on Sora's face, even with his body in tatters. This kid looked like he had found the answer to his question, like he believed he had a chance to beat me with that newfound understanding, his face alight with determination and excitement. What surprised me most about that look was that part of me believed him. Sora's confident gaze made me curious, even expectant, to see what this boy would do with his body in that state, barely standing on his feet. I may act rashly, I may be childish, even idiotic. But I'm living the way I want to, with a smile on my face. Damn it. That's not going to change. Old man, you're right about one thing. I need the strength to take responsibility for what I say and to protect the ones I love from the consequences of my actions. But that's it. Sora's POV. Flashback. Grandpa, I don't understand. I've been training with the sword for 4 years, but when I do the same moves as you, they don't sound or feel as sharp. Let's see how I can explain this. Sora, do you remember when you begged us for weeks to buy you a guitar? And then, after we finally got it for you, you wouldn't stop bugging us until we sang a song together. Do you remember the advice you gave me to sing better? You said, Grandpa, don't just recite the words out loud. Try to remember memory that the music brings up, and sing with that memory in your voice. When you said that, Sora, you surprised me. The same applies to fencing. It's not just about putting emotion behind the sword. It's also about understanding the essence of each style. You need to know not only the movements but also where they come from. What do they mimic? What inspired them? What's the idea behind each motion? When you understand these questions, then you can say you know the essence or the idea behind the swordsmanship you're practicing. Are they mimicking an animal? Or were they inspired by nature? There are all kinds of sword styles, many of them incredible, and many lost because their essence was forgotten. Every style has a lesson, a core idea, and if you truly want to master it, you first need to understand that essence. End of flashback. When I recalled that conversation with my grandfather, back when I was just 10, it made me think, what is the fencing I'm trying to replicate based on? Where is this style inspired from? What memory should I put into my sword? The moment those questions entered my mind, it was like I was underwater again, back when I held Judd in my arms before the truck exploded. And when it did, I relived the force of the currents pulling us deeper into the water. Yes, those currents, unrelenting and fierce, were just like the ones I felt in that moment. When I snapped out of the memory, I thump thump, ba boom, ba bump, ba bump, thump thump, ba boom, ba boom, ba bump, ba boom. I might act rashly. I might be childish, even foolish at times. But I'm living the way I want to, with a smile on my face. And damn it, that's not going to change. Old man, you're right about one thing. I need the strength to take responsibility for my words and protect the people I care about from the consequences of my actions. But that's it. I'm not changing. Screw you, old man. I'm gonna beat you. The moment I shouted that, suddenly two things happened, like my body was reacting to what I had just declared. I felt my eyes light up again, but this time, without any emotions weighing me down or holograms guiding me. My eyes just lit up, as if. Then I started hearing music in my head again. When I recognized the song, I knew Ark agreed with what I had said. He played the final verse of Free Bird by LYNYRD. Lord knows, I can't change. Lord help me, I can't change. Lord, I can't change. Won't you fly high, free bird? Yeah. It wasn't just the music. I felt my body heating up. My skin reddened for an instant, as if my body was burning some kind of fuel. I started sweating, and steam hissed out like my body was reacting to whatever ARC had triggered. It filled my exhausted body with energy but also intense pain, so much that I had to clench my teeth just to bear it. Then, suddenly, the pain shut off, like someone flipped a switch, as if my brain had just cut off the signal. It was a warning, a sign that my body couldn't hold out much longer. I had to act fast. Without wasting another second, I turned toward the old man. The music kept playing in my head, the guitar solo building as I focused more and more. The rhythm in my head synced with my movements. The more I concentrated, the slower the music seemed to play, until all that was left was Grandpa and the music. Masash's POV. I'm gonna beat you. When Sora said that, two things happened that I couldn't process at the time. The first was that his eyes lit up again, glowing a much stronger blue than before. But there was no change in Sora's determined, defiant expression. The second was that his skin turned red, as if he'd suddenly come down with a fever. He was sweating heavily, steam rising off his body, like he was burning himself from the inside out, drawing energy from wherever he could. You're not cutting off our wings, old man. He shouted at me with sharp, intense eyes. And then he started, nodding to some rhythm I couldn't hear. It was as if Sora was following music in his mind, and with every second, the sense of danger around him grew. Come on, Grandpa. Time to start round 2. That snapped me out of my shock as I watched him take a deep, audible breath, like he was about to dive underwater. And that's when I realized, the kid had done it. He understood the essence behind the swordsmanship that had eluded him. Without wasting any time, Sora charged at me, leaping into the air with his arms spread wide, like a bird opening its wings, only to cross the mid-flight, sword tucked under one arm. The moment he came within range, Sora grinned as he released the breath he'd been holding, swinging his sword in a strong horizontal slash. It felt like a powerful current of water flowed behind his blade, lending strength to his attack. Damn, I muttered, surprised by the force behind it. I had to respond seriously, countering with a vertical slash. Our blades collided, generating sparks, stronger and more intense than any clash we'd had so far. Sora's horizontal slash met my vertical one, and for a moment, neither of us budged. But then, the illusion of the current following Sora's sword pushed it forward, giving him strength. To my disbelief, my sword began to inch back toward my face. I couldn't believe it. For the first time, Sora had overpowered me in sheer force. His blade came dangerously close before I managed to stop it. When I finally halted his attack, his sword was mere inches from my face. An uncontrollable grin spread across my face as I realized the boy had tapped into something new, something powerful. The illusion faded as our swords locked, like a wave crashing against the rocks. But the excitement in Sora's eyes, it was unmistakable. And then I noticed it, a small cut on my cheek. He'd drawn blood. Ha ha ha. How long? Ha ha. How long has it been since someone made me bleed with a sword? With renewed energy, I planted my feet and countered, pushing his sword back. Sora, feeling the force of my blow, released the pressure on his own attack. He used my strength against me, kicking off my chest and launching himself backward. He flew across the room, twisting in the air, only to land on the wall, legs coiled like springs, absorbing the impact. Then, like an arrow loosed from a bow, he launched himself at me again, sword held high. This time, I prepared to meet him, positioning my sword to block his downward slash. But just before he reached me, Sora flipped mid-air, spinning with his sword. Sora's POV. When my spinning cut collided with Oji's sword, which he had placed parallel to the ground, our blades clashed hard again, stopping me dead in my tracks. I could see the puzzled look on Oji's face, as if he couldn't believe my movements with the sword I'd learned from watching Ark. But I couldn't revel in the moment. I noticed the arm holding Getsuga began to tremble, and Oji noticed too. We instinctively glanced at each other, both aware that my body couldn't take much more. We pushed our swords simultaneously, and I was thrown back a few meters while Oji barely moved throughout our duel. TCH, monster. As my feet hit the ground with a loud thud, I felt my legs shaking, and it didn't stop there. My entire body screamed in pain, like the earlier warning had reached its limit. If I continued, I knew the toll this was taking on me. Damn it. I can't stop now. But I doubt I can use Ark's fencing again. Now I understand the strain it places on my body, especially on my lungs, almost paralyzing them, as if I couldn't release or catch my breath, reminding me of a bad memory. Gritting my teeth to endure the pain and hold myself together, I scanned the room for something I could use to gain an advantage against Oji. Then I saw something, a familiar figure watching me with its cameras, as if it was struggling not to interfere. Even in this state, I couldn't help but smile. Without wasting time, I sent a communication request to 0302-312-3441. I need you, little one. Woof woof grunts. It responded, showing me a live image of someone's rear end while growling. That's right, but wait for my signal, okay? Woof. And one more thing. When I finished talking to Iko, I turned my focus back to Oji, thinking about my next move. I couldn't last much longer. Then I remembered what Grandpa said about Getsuga and about the head of the Inuzuka family, an engineering geek like me. If he were a geek, he wouldn't have just upgraded Getsuga, he would have added something. With that thought, I glanced at Getsuga's hilt, and an idea struck. Iko, the sheath. Gasp, I said, struggling to breathe. My word surprised my grandparents, but Iko quickly moved, grabbing the sheath I had left near him when the duel began and tossing it into the air towards me. Catching the sheath Iko threw, I slid Getsuga into it and got into position for an unsheathing strike, hoping my idea was right. With one hand on the hilt and the other on the sheath, I searched for something, anything, a mark, a different texture. Suddenly, when I gripped it with 5 fingers, it started to vibrate. BZZT, vibration. But this vibration was different, mechanical, like something was charging inside the sheath. Hee. Huff. Oji, looks like you're the lucky one this time. Gasp. My body can't take much more, but you've been unlucky too, Oji. Gasp. You shouldn't have given me Getsuga. I barely managed to say, breathing heavily, struggling to stay conscious as I gathered all I had left for my final attack. Sora. Please stop now. Your body. You can barely stay conscious. Son, please don't be stubborn. Tomorrow you can, Grandma pleaded before Oji interrupted. Ayo. Don't stop him. Gritting his teeth. Sora. Your body is full of nanobots your mother put in you before you were born. They're currently in their first phase. Now, let's finish this. Come on, Sora. Teach me that even in these circumstances, your wings can't be clipped. Son. With Oji's words, I didn't hesitate. I ran towards him with a smile, grateful for his trust in me, even now. It wasn't time to dwell on the nanobots I already assumed were in me. I knew this was going to hurt. But after what Oji said, SHH, deep breath. I screamed internally, gritting my teeth so hard I bit my lip, making it bleed, enduring the pain in my lungs as I pushed my body to its limit. I took another deep breath too. To combine Getsuga's attack with the swordsmanship I copied from Ark. It was agonizing, but I'd survived worse pain before. And while this pain was no less than when I was sick, this time it was my choice, something I did because I wanted to. And it was worth it. End now. Woof. I sent the signal to Iko. As I neared Getsuga's range, I saw Oji raise his sword with all his strength for the most basic of vertical cuts. The force vibrated the air, the blade speeding toward my head. As it closed in, everything seemed to slow down. I knew I couldn't dodge, so I stared directly at Oji, ready for something to bite him. Oji's eyes widened in surprise and pain as his sword veered off course, brushing past my face thanks to Iko's bite. Meanwhile, BZZT, vibration. Getsuga shot out of its sheath with incredible force, barely contained in my grip. It cut through the air, but when I extended my arm, I couldn't withstand the force. My shoulder dislocated with a painful pop. I exhaled through gritted teeth, fighting through the pain as I redirected Getsuga downward, combining arc swordsmanship to deliver the most powerful half-moon-shaped cut I'd ever made. I poured everything I had into holding on to Getsuga, feeling as though my entire arm was about to shatter. My blade struck Oji's cybernetic hands, disarming him. In a sword duel, that meant one thing: defeat. Technically, for me, but to Oji, it was a lesson. A victory for both of us. I may have cheated, but screw it. As I reveled in disarming Oji, my body's pain shifted from screaming to full-on explosion, my veins and muscles stiffening. Huff, 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 gasp. I tried to take short breaths, but it felt like the air had vanished, as if I was drowning. I felt pain on a level that rivaled my worst memories. But, hee, gasp, worth it. I muttered softly before losing consciousness. As darkness claimed me, I saw something that amused me just as much as the first time. Oji, worried, staring at me with concern in his eyes, and some anger. Meanwhile, Iko was still latched onto Grandpa's rear end, biting it, while Oji seemed to have forgotten everything else in his concern for me, sending me into sleep with a smile on my face. Musashipuri, gasp, worth it. When Sora said that with a grin, as if something about the situation amused him, he lost consciousness and collapsed. My reflexes kicked in, and I grabbed him before he hit the ground. Even as I held him, I was still processing everything he'd just done. He managed to unlock Getsuga's signature attack as fast as I'd taught it to him. When he'd gotten into position, there was a brief moment where I saw Taisha Inuzuka in him, the man who, despite his weak body and only having one cybernetic arm, was the only person who ever bested me in a duel. Well, now there was another one. But he cheated. Yeah, that's right. I didn't lose to Sora, he cheated. Yet, as I looked at my sword lying on the ground and remembered the force behind Sora's last attack, I couldn't exactly call myself the winner either. If Taisha hadn't had such a frail body, if he hadn't died when he did, he would be the one with the title of the best swordsman, not me. That thought faded as the sense of danger I felt during the duel returned, but it wasn't from Sora this time. Iko! Iko! Damn dog, get off me! I shouted as Iko, Sora's overly aggressive cybermutt, continued to bite at my rear. With a menacing growl through his speakers, Iko released his grip and barked before stepping protectively in front of Sora's unconscious body. He pressed a paw onto Sora, as if to say, back off, and his hologram displayed a not-so-subtle threat. I set Sora down next to Iko, who clearly didn't trust me one bit, like I'd actually harm my own grandson. Still, the damn dog had just let go of my rear, and now he was acting all tough. Once again, I found myself thinking, stupid mutt. Aoi approached, her face a mix of concern and awe. She'd seen the same things I had: Sora's tenacity, his surprising skill, and the strange abilities he seemed to have tapped into during the duel. But her mind was on something else entirely. Musasha, what you said about the nanobots in Sora's body, was that what allowed him to fight like that? No, I said, shaking my head. The kid fought on his own. The nanobots only kicked in when Sora's body turned red for a moment. They had to tense up his muscles and increase his blood pressure just so his body could keep up with me. But, his eyes. Aoi's voice trembled slightly. He doesn't have any cyberware installed. Did the nanobots replace his eyes? No. I barked, firm but gentle. Calm down, Aoi. The nanobots can't replace parts of his body. Not yet, anyway. They can join together inside him, like they did in his eyes, to create some kind of support system, but they disassemble afterward. No permanent changes. Aoi sighed in relief, but I continued. What Sora has inside him, these nanobots, they saved his life after that cop shot him and Judy. And Sora, that little bastard, he's managed to copy it all from just seeing it once. I know it sounds insane, but he's done it. Look at him. Even unconscious, with his body all beaten up, he's got that smug grin plastered on his face. I stared down at Sora, the frustration building up again. He sent his damn dog to pull that dishonest move. I've lost. The kid disarmed me, Aoi. Aoi's expression softened into amusement as she knelt beside me, her worry slowly ebbing away. Aoi, Musasha, it looks like Hanako-sama has found out about your little duel with Sora. What? I muttered, still sore from Iko's bite. Aoi grinned mischievously. I'm receiving messages from Hanako-sama's proxy. What the hell is happening to Sora? And he should be with you now. What is happening? Ara, Musasha, honey, it looks like you've got another round to fight. This time with the mother. Fufuhaha. Damn it. I hadn't even considered how Hanako would react to this duel. I thought I was prepared for the consequences, but I didn't expect them to hit me this soon. I looked back at Sora's unconscious form. This kid, again, had unknowingly gotten me into trouble. And there he was, lying on the floor with that stupid smile. I sighed, fighting the urge to stomp on his face, just to wipe that smug look away. Tell her I'll get in touch later. I need to get Sora to his room to rest. I picked the brat up, intending to carry him to bed when a thought crossed my mind. Aoi, I said, you don't seem too surprised or angry that Hanako-sama put nanobots in Sora. Tell me, Musasha, Aoi replied calmly, will these nanobots make Sora safer? I nodded slowly. Then I don't need to be surprised or angry at a mother who only wants her child to survive, Aoi continued. In the end, you and I both know there is nothing more painful than losing a child. I understand why Hanako did what she did. If I could, I would have done the same for our children. Any mother who loves her child would do anything to keep them safe, even if it's just a 1% chance. General Pov. 11:09 p.m. in the Badlands. An old woman with long hair, graying by age, came out of a trailer used by her clan to connect to the net and keep track of what was happening in the world, from one of the trucks that were part of the caravan of the clan. This woman, called Salita, had reached her old age and she herself knew that she did not have many years of life left. Yet she was the leader of her nomad clan and was proud of her family clan. Something that even in her old age she led with an iron fist. But no one could ever hate this tough but fair old woman who did not forgive anyone who endangered her family or her clan, which for her were the same, the Backers clan. When Salita left the trailer, she was looking for the young ones of her nomad clan, who always boast and laugh at the people living in the megacities, saying they live like rats and do not know what freedom is, like them being nomads, especially with the young ones. Today the clan had managed to illegally connect to the megacorporation network Signal 54, downloading the news from Night City and in them a chase made by two kids in a fire truck, which Salita wanted to use to teach a lesson to the youngsters of her clan who always laugh at the street kids. Shori, Lil, Trin, Sarah, and V come here. I want to show you something. Valerie Pov. Finished with my woman, cause she couldn't help me with my mind. People think I'm insane because I am frowning all the time. All day long I think of things but nothing seems to satisfy. Think I'll lose my mind if I don't find something to pacify. Can you help me? Occupy my brain? I like this song, I thought as I kept listening as they happily sang along to Shori Dolin, Lily Lam and Sarah Heddy while Trin Backer, grandson of the clan leader, played the guitar. Getting between the four of them, almost butchering the song, almost. Making me have to imagine the voice and guitar of the original Paranoid singer, Jackie Blackhand's song, I Need Someone to Show Me. The things in life that I can't find, I can't see the things that make true happiness, I must be blind. That even among the nomads we listened to their songs, taking advantage of every opportunity Salita gave us when we were hooked to the net, to download their songs to listen to them or sing them like now make a joke and I will sigh and you will laugh and I will cry. Happiness I cannot feel and love to me is so unreal. I didn't sing, even though I enjoyed the music. Since the attack happened, I haven't been the same. As if there was a part of me missing that made me want to sing a song out loud that you like or just to get a smile on your face. And so as you hear these words, telling you now of my state, I tell you to enjoy life. I wish I could, but it's too late. That part had disappeared along with my big brother. The guys knew that, and so they tried to cheer me up. The 5 of us always stay together when we are free. We are all under 18, with me at 16 being the youngest of the group. Today, when we finished our jobs with the clan, we gathered around a campfire with some beers they had managed to steal from the adults in the clan. They even took some out of our secret stash to try to cheer me up, and I am grateful to them. But I have not been the same since the attack happened, since my brother Vincent disappeared 8 months ago. Shori, Lil, Trin, Sarah, and V come here. I want to show you something. Suddenly Salita's voice came from behind us, making us stop everything we were doing, making everyone present nervous about who was coming, and making us move our arms quickly as if we wanted to lighten the mood without much success. Making Trin nervous for his grandmother and clan leader to take the ashtray we were using, dumping the contents without giving me time to say, "No, you idiot," warning before he did so. Causing a white smoke to come out of the campfire, filling the atmosphere already charged with more weed all over the area, while we tried even after that to disguise and hide the fact that we were smoking. Smoking our secret stash, from when we snuck into a robotic biotechnica greenhouse that had hectare after hectare of every kind of weed you can imagine. When we snuck in, we all got excited at what we saw, almost made that day a good day. Almost taking me back to 8 months ago when my brother Vincent was still in camp, almost taking me back to before that day happened, the day my brother disappeared, the day he and the other clan members went out on a patrol and explored the surroundings like any other day as a nomad, only to be assaulted by Raf and Shiv. Vincent being the only one we didn't find among the dead bodies of the patrol members. When I found out, it made me have a little hope that maybe my brother was alive. And at the same time it made me tremble at the things they could be doing to him. For 8 months I did not stop looking for him with the help of the clan, but I did not find any trace of him or the Raffen that attacked, making me lose hope day after day, making me tremble with fear every time we find a corpse abandoned in the middle of the Badlands. When Salita arrived close to where we were, she looked at us one by one with seriousness, standing looking at me and at my hand for a few seconds, which when she did, I also looked at, to realize that I had been squeezing my hand so hard thinking about Vincent that I had dug my nails in, making me bleed. Which when Salita saw, she pulled out a small healing spray from her pocket and threw it at me to use, without saying anything, as she turned to her grandson Trin Backer. She stared at her grandson without saying anything until Trin couldn't take it anymore and said, "Grandma, I swear we weren't smoking. I think it smells like that because Uncle Markley just walked by." When Trin said that obvious lie out loud, I just thought, bad choice. Salita hates the boy. Do you think because I'm old, I'm senile? Don't take me for a fool, brat. When you were aglow in your father's Kiroshi implants, I was already the leader of this clan. So don't think lying will get you to safe harbor, brat. You think I care what you do when you've finished your work? Trin, who do you think gave your father, Lou, the coordinates to those biotech fields? Kid, you know what pisses me off? That the first thing that comes to your mind is lying to me. You know I hate lies. That's why families, clans break up. Plus, I don't give a shit about you smoking weed. When I lie down in bed, I'm going to smoke one bigger than what's between your legs, brat. With what Salita said, the 5 of us stood in silence, somewhat uncomfortable, but especially Trin was uncomfortable and embarrassed. Now that we are done with the nonsense, come with me. I have something I want to show you, something we downloaded today from the net. When we all got to the trailer, Salita played a video from a section of the news of the NCPD chasing a fire truck that was shooting water at the NCPD while music played over the truck. Making all 5 of us amazed by the video and by how young the guys in the fire truck looked. They looked younger than me. When Trin saw the chase, how young they were and how they got attention so that even her grandmother wanted to show it to us as if they were a lesson. About the hatred some nomads have for people from the megacities, that seemed not to please Trin, making him grab his guitar tightly to turn to Salita and say, "What's up, Grandma? Is that what you want to teach us? You think that this stupid video will change what I believe about people living in megacities living like ants in their anthill? That I don't feel proud of being a nomad, and that I don't pity or dislike the people in the cities for the way they live. Besides, Do you know the things they put about us on the net? On top of the fact that they are the ones who live like rats, like animals, they dare to call US scavengers, rednecks, or savages as if they were better than us. Crap. Just thinking about it pisses me off. The only thing I like about the video is the song that Midget chose for his second of glory on the net. Just wait till I start uploading my songs to Cybertube. I'll be the next Jackie, Trin the Nomad, and show the world what nomads really are. Wink. Without responding to what his grandson said, Trin looked at Shori, Sarah, and me to finish his sentence while he winked at us smugly, which made me think, you idiot, as if you could ever get to share Jackie. Solita continued to watch the video, as if what her grandson had said was going in one ear and going out the other, as she continued to watch the chase and only pointed out catching Trin's eye when the truck seemed to reach the rich part of town. What? You want me to watch that kid die while everyone watches? Great. I didn't like that smug midget anyway. Activating the security drone system that went without hesitation to the kid that Trin had created a meaningless rivalry with, the kid was on top of the truck with his hands in his jacket pockets looking calm while everyone in the trailer tensed up at the images except Trin, who seemed to have some joy and also bewilderment at the kid's attitude when the drones approached him preparing to open fire. Only for him to release 3 silver objects that, when they exploded, created interference in the video, and when the signal came back, the drones had either exploded each other or had been rendered useless, while the boy was childishly happy about what he had done. In the next moment he turned to the AV recording to send a middle finger to those who thought he was going to die, making those of us watching turn to Trin, who it seemed even from a video the boy had responded to Trin's comment by sending him a middle finger, Ha, Lil, Pa, Shori, and Sarah. Filling the trailer with laughter from those of us who were present, and they weren't the only ones. PFFFF, restrained laughter, me. It made me laugh too. The first time in 8 months that I laughed. Making this catch everyone's attention in the trailer and making Solita grow a smile seeing me covering my mouth for the surprise of laughing as if I had done something wrong. The first time I laughed in 8 months. Without anyone saying anything, we continued watching the video and how the truck was returning over the bridge where they had ended up in the rich part of the city, starting to smoke out of the truck. To surprise us all again, the boy on top of the truck pulled out the girl who was driving the truck wearing the same type of mask covering her face. While they grabbed each other's hand, to launch themselves towards the AV filming them from the bridge. You could even hear them shouting the last lines of the song with fear in their voices. To end up jumping again from the truck before reaching the water to disappearing behind the column of water generated by the truck when crashing. So Trin, according to you, as proud a nomad as you think you are, as if you were Santiago Aldecaldo himself, then you, my dear grandson, are as did this boy who looks 3 to 4 years younger than you. Grandmother, what is it that you want to tell us? To tell me that you have interrupted our free time to teach us this nonsense. Sigh. That's how you see it, kid? You know why I wanted to show you this video? To open your closed point of view a little bit. It's true that most of us don't like how to live in the megacities. Others have no other choice and that's why we become nomads. But in the megacities there are also people with the same ideals of freedom that we nomads have, like the boy in the video. And remind you that we are not better or worse than anyone. Just survivors. Kid. Don't you understand? The vision that society has about nomads is contaminated by the corporations. We don't enter in their circus nor are we inside their sales forecast. They don't want people to know that there is a way of life outside their domain, hiding from people how we really are, and simplifying all of us as if we were Raffen, as if all of us who live outside their domain are thieves or murderers and savages. It's them you should resent, kid. Not the people who have their minds washed by the media and fill the net with their rotten opinions, not knowing or not even wanting to know the truth that may mess up the shit bubble they live in, thinking there is someone worse than them or that there is no way out of the corporate yoke. Gasp, gasp, gasp. Solita, Shori, Solita, Lil, Boss. Sarah. Old woman, breathe. Grandma, calm down, please breathe. Said Trin, who, although pissed off, seeing his grandmother who had to stop talking as his blood pressure was rising to the point that he could barely breathe and had to sit down in order to catch his breath. Grandma, understand what you mean, so please relax, will you? We are going to leave you to rest. And today don't smoke, if it's as big as you said. I don't think it will sit well with you. TCH, you rude, huff, beer rat. Look at you saying something like that to your grandmother. Boss, please take care of yourself. Will you? Sarah. Yes, Salita, have a good rest. Lil, by Salita. Shori. Old woman, me too. Valerie, you stay, please. I have something to talk to you about. When everyone left, only Salita and I remained in the trailer. What did you think of the video? V, sorry, little girl. I know you want to be called that since Vincent and I agree. But I've known you since you were 6 and your brother was 9 and you joined the clan. I simply refuse to call you like I don't know you, girl. So Valerie, what did you think of the video? It's something he would have liked. I said as I lowered my head, not wanting to be seen holding back tears as I remembered what Salita said about my brother when we were little, when we were alone, how hard it was, and how glad we were when Salita found us and gave us a home and a family. Valerie, look me in the eyes. When Salita said that, I forced myself to barely look at her without holding back my tears. Salita stared at me and said, I know what you are going through right now. Believe me, I also lost my only family before I formed the clan. It was during the Third Corporate War. They all passed away, leaving me alone in the world. And like your little one, I was also robbed of something inside of me that changed me. But Valerie, that something we lost also made us stronger, because when you rise up, as I know you will, and your smile comes back, which you tried to hide a little while ago, I know this clan will not be able to hold you back. So my little Valerie, you remind me so much of me. Don't hide what you feel. Cry, scream, and curse all you want. And when you go to bed after all that, get up stronger than the day before, and live your life for both of us, both for your brother Vincent and for you, Valerie, with the V you have in common as a symbol of your life. Did you hear me, little V? Yeah, I hear you, old woman. Sniff, sniff, sniff. As I was crying like a little girl because of what Salita had told me, barely allowing me to see clearly. She said, Here, my little V. I know you liked it too, and it's the first thing to make you smile in months. I know at some point, I don't know why, but this will help you. Said old Salita as she handed me a chip with the copy of the fire truck chase. Without quite understanding why she gave it to me, Salita just smiled, seeing my somewhat puzzled face, and said with a smile on her wrinkled face, Haha, call it intuition, little V. One doesn't live for so many years in this dangerous world without listening to it. I don't quite get it about the chip, but thanks for everything else, everything you have said. Grandma, I said before giving Salita a hug, who I really considered a grandma to me. With those last words leaving the trailer, after leaving I looked at the sky full of stars, making me clench my hands as I remembered again what Grandma Salita had said. By doing so, I squeezed my hand, noticing the chip in it. Thinking about Chip, he would have really liked to see it. Vikent always had the childhood dream of going to NC to become a legend, to, according to him, reach the highest view of the city just to be able to smile for what he had achieved. And I know that if it wasn't for me, he would have already escaped from the clan to go and live his childhood dream with a smile on his face. While I was still looking up at the sky, clenching my hand with the chip in it, I could only force myself to smile with my tear-filled eyes. Look at me, okay? I veiled dash. No. I will get V to the top of NC, I promise. Sniff. Brother. 2:35 a.m., Sora's room. When I opened my eyes, I could see the familiar ceiling of my room as I barely managed to sit up in bed, not paying much attention to my surroundings. My whole body hurts. When I managed to sit up in bed, I could only notice my stomach growling, almost making me want to eat Eco if it wasn't for the fact that I knew it was metal. As I looked over my room with tired eyes, I could see a tower of energy bars on the shelf next to my bed. When I saw them, I heavily lifted one of my arms to grab one when I noticed a familiar feeling in my arm. But not one of the good ones, which made me realize I had an force set in my arm. And when I reached up my other arm to take it out, because it reminded me of my life in the hospital, something stopped my hand in its tracks, as if it wouldn't let me remove the four. Which I didn't like at all when I realized what or who had stopped me, making me look with astonishment at my arm that I could not move. No, rather, I noticed something inside me that blocked my arm, preventing it from moving. TCH. You want this so bad, junkie. I thought in my head as I released the force of my arm as if I had given up to remove my four. When I regained control of my arm freely, I went straight to the four bag, which was still slowly leaking connected to the four, and when I picked it up, I again noticed my arm freeze. Hey, You're not as reserved as you used to be, are you? As I increased the strength of my arm to refuse to give in again. Let's see who gives in now. We continued to struggle until I noticed how the locking sensation in my arm could no longer resist and he gave in. He. Relax, I understand our body needs this. But I refuse to have this shit any longer, I thought, removing the four from my arm as I took the four bag towards my mouth, biting down on it like an animal as I sucked down all of what I imagined to be some kind of serum with some medicine in it. There you go, you've got it in there, do what you want with it, I thought again in my head as only silence answered me, making me finally grab the energy bars that the grandparents had left me. Thank you. My body feels so weak I don't know if I could walk down the stairs, as I started to devour bar after bar until I could see what was underneath was the pad I had next to the bed that I used to check my Cybertube account and talk to my mother. Thinking about that, I turned my head towards Eco's bed and loading point. That was when I looked at him. He had woken up too, coming out of his resting mode, looking at me with his cameras while he opened his holographic mouth, sticking out his tongue, happy to see me awake. Hello, little one. Woof woof. Did you do as I told you and record everything that happened when I fainted? Woof. Great, good dog, show it to me. Within seconds of saying that, I got a request from Eco on IDN. Tell me, Musasha, with them Sora will be safer, right? Then I don't need to be surprised or worry about a mother who only wants a child to survive no matter what. In the end, as you and I both know, there is nothing more painful than losing a child. I understand why Hanako did what she did. If I could, I would have done the same for our children. Any mother who loves her children would do anything to keep them safe, even if it's 1% Musasha. When I heard my grandparents' conversation, I was thinking about finding out more about what I have in my body. But what I heard made me look like a fool until I finally reacted. Hanako plus Arasaka, who I already knew from Cortana, equals shit. My mother is Hanako Arasaka? My father, Johnny Silverhand? Are you kidding me? What the hell? Just thinking about it makes my head hurt. How the hell did they meet? So I'm an Arasaka. He? And Linda. Shit. It's normal that the grandparents don't want to tell me about it. Hell, what a mess. I knew my mom and grandparents were related to Arasaka from the chip with Cortana, but that they are related, to me carrying their name is different. Damn it. Family dinners sure are awkward. Shit, I can only imagine. Sora's imagination. Hi, Soboro. Nice to meet you. I'm Sora Arasaka, your grandson. Your face. So you've noticed. Huh? It's good that you remember him. You save me from wasting time. After all, you're old acquaintances, right? You kill his girlfriend, he nukes your NC base, you kill him, but not before letting your daughter sleep with him. What a surprise, right? I'm the same, Sabu. No, Oji-chan. Come into my arms, Oji-chan. Well, Oji-chan, now that I'm Arasaka and all that, where do you keep the good stuff? You know, the real good stuff you don't sell. Sigh. What a load of crap. It would be great if it was that easy. What did I say about being the CEO of Militech? Well, I think the same thing. I don't give a shit knowing I'm Arasaka. They are almost like demons personified in this world. Damn it. When I thought that, I also thought about what Grandpa said about the nanobots running through my body. So, I have a roommate. Hey, Ark, do something cool. Light my eyes on fire or something awesome. I'm depressed. When you find out your family are the Siths of this world, shit. Go do it. Don't be boring. Suddenly I felt something. In my hand I felt a tingling sensation as if something was happening. I barely lifted my hand and put it in front of my face so I wouldn't miss anything. Ark wanted to show me, moving me in the process. Maybe my nails grow like blades, or better armor. No, make it claws better. When I was thinking all these things, something happened. One of my fingers stood up, and when I saw it, I was bewildered, as if I was sending myself to shit. I laughed at what had happened. I had filled myself with expectations so that in the end what I have inside me would send me to mess myself. I don't know why, Ark, but you seem like a good guy to me. You know, I was expecting something more beastly with Tails or Skynet. But you, Ark, for an AI. I like you, music, and now this. Let's keep it around for a while. How about it, mate? As I said that out loud, I noticed how my other hand was also starting to sting like the other hand had done for, and went back to extending my finger and telling me to piss off again. Hee hee. It's still funny to me. Stop thinking about things that have no solution. I turned to the pad that was under the remaining bars, barely stretching to grab the pad, and the rest of the bars. While I was eating my number 10 bar, I went to my Cybertube account, and I could see that I had a lot of new comments on my videos along with some assholes talking about some record corporation trying to take my music to the world. I passed on those messages and searched for my private conversation with Yuki Honor 23, my mother. We need to talk, Jackie. A few seconds later. I'm glad to read you. I think you had an entertaining day. Yuki Honor 23. Really? As if you don't know. I know you're my mother, Jackie. Boom does the bomb. React, Mom, because there's more. I don't know what made you think I'm your mother, but you're wrong. It's true I knew your father, but I'm not your mother. Boy, I know you're confused. I'm glad to know you're okay. Don't do that crazy stuff again. Bye, Yuki Honor 23. I don't want to scare her anymore, so I won't say I know who she is. Let's try something else to see how she reacts. I almost died today. Do you care? I doubt very much that you know how. After all, I haven't told the grandparents, Jackie. I know they're in touch with you. Plus from our first conversations I knew you were my mother, Jackie. What? Yuki Honor 23. What happened? Yuki Honor 23. So you haven't left. I always knew that my mother couldn't be a normal person with so many secrets and strange things in my birth. But now that I know that she is Hanako Arasaka herself, it makes me happy to know that my mother cares about me. Something was looking for me. Mother. Jackie. Whose son? Yuki Honor 23. Hee hee, better this way, woman. Even though it was a message, I almost felt fear and some joy when she wrote, son. Something happened to the cop who found us after jumping from the bridge to me and my girlfriend. Jackie. Son, before you continue, do you already have a girlfriend? Is she the same girl who was with you in the fire truck? Yuki Honor 23. Yes, Jackie. Continue, or do you want me to talk about Judy, Jackie? Her name is Judy. Yuki Honor 23. Don't you know? I thought Grandma and Grandpa had informed you. Jackie. Sorry, son. I was just surprised. You are so young, but you already have a girlfriend. No doubt you are your father's son. Your grandparents inform me if something important happened or you need something. So it's safer this way. I don't know everything I would want to know about your life, son. Yuki Honor 23. No, please, if you want to tell me how you met him, I've always been curious about how the hell you two met. Jackie. You know, son, if I didn't know it was impossible, I would say you know exactly who I am. Yuki Honor 23. Well, mother, as you know, I can surprise you. Jackie. Cheeky son. When you grow up, I will tell you in person everything you want to ask, okay? Yuki Honor 23. Okay, Jackie. Then tell me what happened to that bastard Mendez to make him shoot you. Yuki Honor 23. How do you know that name? Jackie. Well, son, using your words, I can surprise you too. Yuki Honor 23. After reading that message, I didn't want to continue telling what happened. I wanted to keep talking to my mother like this, but I can't and I need answers. Mother, something hacked Mendez by giving him green eyes. Jackie. How do I say the following? Like it was something instead of somebody. Jackie. Shut up. Yuki Honor 23. Don't write any more words. It's not safe. Yukiona 23. Don't tell anyone what happened. You hear? No one. Yukiona 23. I will delete this account together with all our conversations. Yukiona 23. Goodbye, son. I'm glad I spoke to you, even for a few moments, as a mother. Yukiona 23. I love you, Yukiona 23. Mom, wait. Jackie. Error. Written user does not exist. What the hell was that? What the hell scared her so bad? Ark. What the hell is going on? Come on, sing to me, possess me, do something, say. Tell me why my mother reacted like that. What scared her so much, the green-eyed AI? Ark, do something, damn it. Come on. As I screamed in my head, waiting for the freaking AI inside my body to respond to tell me what the hell is going on. But this time I only got silence. There was nothing. TCH, damn it, lying back on the bed frustrated by Ark's silence and by how my mother reacted. I threw the pad on the bed and thought about the conversation I had had with Hanako, how with a few words we had started to talk like mother and son only to end up like this. I could notice the panic and almost terror in her messages. Shit. Without realizing it, little by little, now that I had eaten and was lying down again, I felt my eyelids closing without being able to fight the drowsiness that had assaulted me to continue recovering. Almost as if someone was lulling me to sleep even in my exalted state from the conversation with my mother. N.A.K.O. Vincent's POV. 2:40 a.m., unknown location. Badlands. Even though it was the middle of the night, most of the Raffens were still awake, shooting their guns into the air, getting high, blasting music, or, if they had captured someone, torturing them. Or worse. Earlier, one of them had told me that the Raffen boss wanted to see me. I figured they had found out that I was the one who helped the older Cardo girl escape. When I saw her, I couldn't help myself. She reminded me of my sister. I knew that once the Raffens found out, they'd probably kill me. But I don't regret it. Not after what they would have done to her. I don't even know her name, but I still remember the look on her face when I helped her escape. Her desperate words echoed in my mind as I reached for my neck, lost in thought. Keek. A sickening laugh snapped me back to reality. I turned toward the sound and saw Kenny, the psycho bastard I hated the most out of this pack of Raffen Shiv. I still remember the twisted joy on his face, almost like he was getting off, when he slaughtered my clanmates during a patrol. The same look he had when he was about to kill me, until the Raffen boss stopped him. Keek. Are you off to see that bloody woman, Vini? I hope she doesn't kill you. Because when she's done with you, I want to be the one who does it. Kenny sneered. Damn you, psycho. I shot back, not holding back my disgust. Keek. I told you to leave that Aldecado girl alone. But no. Vini had to be the hero. The good little nomad risking his ass to save her. Keek. He tilted his head, staring at me with those wild, bloodthirsty eyes. You know, boy, I still don't get why that crazy bitch let you live. But you really do have a death wish, don't you? That's what you bastards keep saying. I never begged you for my life. TCH. Don't be like that, Vini. You've been with us for 8 months now. We've kinda gotten used to your little rebellious streak. Keek. It cracks us up. But tell me, kid, you wouldn't want us to go after your clan, would you? If the boss kills you, we could always pay them another visit. You have a sister, don't you? I wonder if she'd be as feisty as you. Keek. The moment he said that, something inside me snapped. I walked past him, pretending his words meant nothing, but my fists clenched at my sides. Kenny cackled as he turned his back to me. That was his mistake. Nearby, a rusted metal rod stuck out of a burning trash can, glowing hot in the firelight. I grabbed it. Stop! One of Kenny's buddies yelled, seeing what I was about to do. Kenny barely had time to turn around. Damn you. Bam! I drove the metal rod straight into his chest. His eyes went wide with shock as blood gushed from his mouth. Bluagi. He choked, vomiting blood all over my face. I watched the terror in his eyes as he realized he was dying. That's for my sister, I growled. And for my clanmates you butchered. Bastard. Thud. Kenny's body collapsed to the ground, twitching as he bled out. I stood there, breathing hard, staring at what I had done. You bastard. You killed Kenny. I'm gonna kill you. Kev, the Raffen who had shouted earlier, drew his gun and aimed it right at my head. I knew this was it. My last moments. I'm sorry, Valerie, I thought. I couldn't stop myself. Stop. Bam. A gunshot rang out, but it wasn't Kev's. Bloody Maria, the leader of this Raffen pack, stepped out of the abandoned building they were using as a camp. She carried an M2038 shotgun in one arm. The other was a cybernetic prosthetic, barely held together with scrap metal and filled with transparent vials of some unknown liquid. Kev turned to her, still aiming his gun at me. Maria, he killed Kenny. I'm not letting your pet screw us over anymore. If you won't deal with him, I will. Maria tilted her head, her grin widening. You think I give a damn that he killed Kenny? I've wanted to kill that asshole since the day I met him. Frankly, I'm glad the kid did it. She stepped closer, eyes locked on Kev. But tell me, Kev, since when do I let you talk to me like that? Silence. Maria raised her cybernetic arm, flexing her fingers as the vials in her forearm gleamed. You know, Kev, I was married once. My husband was a firefighter. A good man. And you know what? I learned a lot about fire. Kev's eyes darted around nervously. Do you know how long it takes for a person to burn to death? Kev. He swallowed hard. Wait. Depends on the accelerant. A sudden hiss filled the air. Maria's cybernetic hand sprayed a liquid straight at Kev. The stench of chemicals filled my nose. The other Raffen stepped back, watching in grim fascination. They knew exactly what she had just doused him with. No, wait. Maria, please, too late. Kev. A tiny spark ignited from Maria's hand. Whoosh. Kev's screams filled the night as flames engulfed him. His body convulsed, his skin charred, and his voice broke into inhuman shrieks of agony. The fire consumed him within seconds. And when his burning corpse finally collapsed, Maria turned to the rest of the Raffens, her face twisted in a manic grin. Like what you saw, she roared. Anyone else wanna question me? Silence. Then, wee. The entire camp erupted into chaos. Bam! 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 Gunfire cracked through the night as the Raffens howled, firing their weapons into the air like the deranged animals they were. And as the madness unfolded around me, I stood there, gripping the blood-stained metal rod, knowing there was no turning back. The Raffens cheered, celebrating their leader's words as if they had already forgotten Kev's agonizing death, burned alive by Maria herself. And in the chaos, it was as if they had also forgotten that I was the one who started this mess by killing Kenny. As if she had protected me. You. With me, Maria said, wiping the manic grin off her face and replacing it with a serious expression as she looked at me. Once we were inside the building, where no one could hear us, I finally spoke. Why, Maria? Why don't you kill me? I murdered one of your own. Why go to such insane lengths just to protect me? Insane? She scoffed. You think that was crazy? Kid, you have no idea what insanity even looks like. Walk through that door, and maybe then you will. Tell me, Vincent, do you know what people think insanity is? They say it's repeating the same action over and over again, expecting a different outcome. But I disagree. That's not insanity. That's hope. Like a mother praying every second, every hour, every day, begging for her half-dead son, beaten within an inch of his life, to recover. Fooling herself with hope. No, Vincent. Do you want to know what insanity really is? It's a bad day. One single day when everything you care about is taken away from you. When they rip away your entire world with a lie, using you and your family as a sacrifice to satisfy the masses, without a second thought about what it would do to you. When the injustice is so immense that it breaks you. When the despair is so suffocating that you drown in it. That, Vincent, is real madness. It happens when the one thing you love most, the thing that matters more than anything, is dragged through a fate worse than death. When your child is humiliated, hated, tortured, and made to suffer before dying. And when that happens, something appears in your mind. A door. A way to escape from reality. A way out. Madness. A defense mechanism to survive when you can't take it anymore. You know, I should thank the Raffens for that. If they hadn't found me in the middle of the Badlands, if one of them hadn't tried to rape me, I never would have stepped through that door. But the moment I did, I was free. And that's when I realized, what I thought was injustice and despair wasn't that at all. No. It was hatred. Resentment. Rage. Hatred for the mindless masses, swallowing every lie they're fed like animals, so eager to punish an innocent boy that they beat my son to death. Stripping him, burning him, taking pictures and uploading them to the net as if they were heroes delivering some karmic justice. Resentment for the media, vultures who profit off the suffering of others, wearing a hypocritical mask of truth, while never once caring about the consequences of their words. Rage toward the politicians who framed my family just to save their own worthless jobs, until my husband finally threw himself off a rooftop. That is why I hate this world. That is why I despise it. Do you understand, Vincent? Maria's dark eyes bore into mine as she grabbed my head, pulling me closer. Up close, I could see it. The madness, the pain, the fire burning inside her. Do you want to know why I saved you, Vincent? The same reason you saved that Aldecado girl. She reminded you of someone. Your sister, right? Well, you reminded me of my son. I still think about him every day, even after stepping through that door. But don't get too excited. Don't think that means you can do whatever you want and get away with it. Because let me tell you something, Vincent. If I could bring my son back, I wouldn't. Do you know why? No, I muttered. Because I don't want him to live in this shitty world. That is the real madness, Vincent. Not killing. Not chaos. Not violence. No. The real madness is living in this world. That's why I don't give a damn about killing one of my own. You say Kenny was one of my people. I don't see it that way. To me, watching them die is just watching those who started the fire burn. But listen, kid. Behave. You wouldn't want the leash I put on you to explode, would you? Maria's words made my hands instinctively reach for my neck, fingers brushing against the cold, metal clasp of the collar, the one strapped with explosives, ensuring I could never escape this hell. I didn't know if it was a good thing or not, but at least Maria was the only one with the detonator. Now, get to work, kid. I want the cars ready to move by dawn. I don't know how long your clan is going to keep searching for us, so we better stay ahead. Damn you, Maria, I muttered, refusing to show my fear. This psycho had threatened to blow me to pieces, but after saving my life twice, I couldn't bring myself to hate her. Maria just laughed. Ha 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 ha. Oh, Vincent, when I burn that city to the ground, I'll go wherever you want. Her laughter died down, and her voice dropped into something colder. And one more thing. I know at your age, you want to impress girls and play the hero, but listen to me, if you ever pull that shit again and free another Aldecado, I'll leave you to take her place.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.